All right, everyone get to your seats. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I hereby call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. The University of Central Florida respectfully acknowledges that it's located on the traditional lands of the Ice, Appalachee, Calusa, Timucua, and Talcabaga tribes, as well as the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. Roll call and verification of quorum. Vice Chair Tara Hernandez.
Paul.
Present.
Reed. Present. Olivia Smith.
Present.
Ellie Hashimwatch.
Present.
Gabriel Casimiro. Eric Callis. Isa Risa. James Campinos.
Present.
Tracy Lim.
Present.
Stone.
Present.
Savitka. Ni Chao.
Present.
Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith. Ollie. D. Malik. O'Hrella. Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman. Lush.
Present.
Metellus. McNulty.
Present.
Rakase. Rose.
Present.
Rudy. Present. I'm here. Harak. Terry Fawcett. Rickett.
Present.
Gaudio. Chauhan. Escobar.
Present.
Maktia. Rodriguez.
Present.
Wanjan. Hassan.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Green.
Present.
Wynn.
Present.
Bonaventure.
Present.
Perez.
Present.
Okuda. Badash. Candarillo. Quartz.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Leon.
Present.
Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nosher Midreva.
Present.
Renda. Colony.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
To Rescue.
Present.
Varela.
Present.
Zibin.
Present.
Lipner.
Present.
37 OTP 5. Quorum is verified.
All right, everyone take a look at last meeting's minutes, and is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? And then everyone look at today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? Okay, so for open forum, we have Dean Theriot from the CHIPS College. So everyone, please give him a warm welcome and give him your utmost attention.
You all did not have to clap the whole time I walked up here. Good evening. Dean Matthew Theriot. I'm the Dean of the College of Health Professions and Sciences, and my second year in that role. And so actually my first time visiting student government. So I'm excited to be here and I appreciate the invitation. Just to give you a real quick overview of the College of Health Professions and Sciences, and then I want to tell you about a couple of upcoming events that we have that you might find of interest. CHIPS is we're affectionately known. There's the College of Medicine, there's the College of Nursing, and then all the other healthcare stuff is CHIPS. And so we have physical therapy, athletic training, kinesiology, health sciences, communication sciences and disorders, which is like audiology and speech language pathology, and social work. We're starting a Master's of Nutrition program next year. We've also got a couple of new undergraduate degree programs. One's a general health studies bachelor's degree for students who want to work in healthcare but aren't quite sure what they want to do. And so it's a good kind of broad major to prepare them for graduate school. And then we have interdisciplinary studies, bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies and health sciences, health studies. Next week, International Week, we're very excited to offer several pieces of programming, especially on Monday. We have some faculty lectures, which may not be as interesting to you all. But we also have in the atrium of our building, which is Health Sciences 1 at noon on Monday, we have snacks from around the world, where we'll have different student organizations different cultural student organizations featuring snacks that are popular and where they're from. And so it's a great way to come and have a little bit to eat, and then also to engage with diverse students and diverse student groups from across campus and globally. I'll also add, we're very excited this year to partner for the second time with the Student Government Disability Caucus for American Sign Language Day, ASL Day, which is April 15th. We did our first partnership on that last year at you all's invitation, and it was a really wonderful experience. We had a great turnout. We had some of our ASL instructors doing demonstrations. Nitro came. I don't know if you know this, but Nitro does sign language. And so he did some games, led some games, and did some demonstrations in the atrium. And of course, we had snacks and activities and things. So April 15th, I hope you all will hear more about that as that date draws closer with the Disability Caucus. I can answer questions. That was a really quick snapshot. Yeah, please.
What time is the event on Monday?
Noon, 12 to 1:30.
Are there any other
In
questions?
the atrium of HS1, Health Sciences 1, which is just right this way.
Chair Varela?
I also want to know, how can we as student senators kind of support your and your college's endeavors?
That's a great question. And I'm very fortunate we have some excellent SGA representatives who come from our college. I see a couple of them sitting over here. And we meet regularly, both as in their role as SGA, but then also they serve on our student advisory council that we have within the college. And so that's a good relationship that we are definitely happy to support. In terms of how SGA can support us, I don't know there's anything immediate that comes to mind, except that we're always looking for ways to engage with students. And it doesn't just have to be students in our majors. Just by the nature, I think, of who we are and what we do, we're just good people, right? We're just kind, caring, supportive folks. And so it really is a pleasure to be able to get out and to work with you all, and to, especially if there's a way that we can combine some of the things that we do around some of the stuff that's important to you all. ASL Day is a great example. We also work with students, particularly in the college, around things like mental health awareness and suicide prevention, because those are things that are really important to us, particularly in social work. Certainly with nutrition is a big deal, fitness and health through kinesiology and physical therapy, those sorts of things. So if there's opportunities to integrate some of those things for us to bring some of the expertise that we have in the college to work with you all, or to help even just inform some of the program that you're doing, we'd love to have that conversation.
Any other questions for the dean? Senator Luker?
On that note of health and wellness, I'm curious whether you believe that there is a deficit in how students are being served on that topic, and how we as student senators can support that gap.
That's an interesting question. Say more about the word deficit. I think you used that intentionally, but I want to hear why.
Yeah, whether it be a lack of engagement and knowing what opportunities are already out there, or lackluster opportunities altogether. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I don't want to speak to the availability of services or those sorts of things. I will say, I don't think we talk about it enough on college campuses in general. This is a difficult time. I struggled as an undergraduate student. That's how I found my way into social work, and how I ended up here. It ended up being such a great thing I never left. And so, the more we talk about these things, the more we reduce the stigma around things like mental health and self-care, around taking care of yourself, just acknowledging the stress that students have in college, whether you be undergraduates or graduates. It's a period of kind of rapid change and rapid growth, transitioning from adolescence into adulthood, and then every year brings new things to get stressed about. Am I going to do well in my first year of classes? Am I going to get into the major that I want? Am I going to do well enough to get into graduate school? I submitted my graduate school applications. Now I have to wait. I got into graduate school. Which graduate schools do I go to? And then you stress about graduate school, and then you have to find a job. And there's a lot of stuff that gets compounded and compacted into a short few years. And so I just think the more we can do to normalize that, the better it is for everybody.
Any other questions? Senator Makadia.
Present and voting.
Senator Makadia, President, voting so noted at 7:12 p.m. Any other questions?
It's good to see you again.
Seeing none, well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you all for having me.
Okay, is there anybody else here to speak for open forum? Seeing none, announcements from the student body president, President Blanco.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great week, and I hope you're taking time for yourselves as we get ready for finals. This week, I had the privilege of attending and speaking at the celebration for Carl Metzger. He's our former chief of police as he retires from law enforcement. So some resignations. So first, I hereby resign Soraya Pearson from the Intercampus and Transfer Caucus and Andi Ayub as Director of Communications. So Soraya will be assuming the role of Director of Communications for the foreseeable future. If you have any comments, requests, or questions, please refer them to her. And please be patient with us as we navigate this transition. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Any questions for the student body president, Senator Lipner?
I know it's still early, so you may not have a clear response to this, but I'm curious about your projected timeline for how you're going to refill that position.
We are nearing the end of the semester, so we are kind of just seeing it through. We have like a little over 3 weeks left, a little under 3 weeks. So I'll keep you guys posted on what that process is going to look like as we figure it out, but good question.
Senator Varela?
I have the same question.
Hmm?
I have the same question, Senator Lipner.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for the student body president? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Announcements from the student body vice president, Vice President Benitez.
Alrighty. Hi, Senate. Hope you all enjoyed your long weekend from the holiday and are preparing for finals. Last Thursday, we hosted our first ever frost warning. Big shout out to Athletics Coordinator Jones for putting that event on in his initiative. We had over 1,000 students attend between just our block party from frost warning and then all the people that were on Memory Mall for the drone show. I hope also everyone here enjoyed the drone show. I know everyone recessed to go see that. And then as next week occurs, we'll be focusing on Winter Wonderland, which will also be next Thursday from 7 to 10 p.m. in collaboration, of course, with CAB, late nights and Ninth On. We posted on our Instagram. So if you want to go comment it, repost it, send it to your friends. Winter Wonderland, as many of you know, I planned it last year, so it's very near and dear to my heart. So I'm very excited to see that unfold. And like Lucy said, if you have any questions regarding the resignation that she mentioned or anything, you feel free to reach out to me, to her, or Soraya, and then we can get those questions answered.
Any question for the student body vice president? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, comptroller's report, also given by Vice President Benitez.
Good evening, Senate. I apologize for not being in attendance tonight. I'm currently on a plane and I'll be back on Monday. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions in the meantime. The current CRT balance is $189,002.76 with a 0.76% reversion rate. And the current FAO balance is $114,000 with $28 with 51 cents with a 0.98% reversion rate. We also held the second SG Finance Office meeting this week, where we reviewed all findings from the audits of the Student Union and Student Legal Services. The previous semester, nothing was identified as misuse of the activity and service fees, and the process overall was very informative. As statutorily required, we will be holding at least 2 additional SG Finance Office meetings that semester. So please feel free to Teams message me with any concerns, and wish everyone a great and restful weekend.
Any questions that the vice president can answer? Seeing none, thank you. AG report, AG Altoona.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great week. Thank you to Senate Exec for allowing me to present this week. I have been working on transitioning our records over to the SG Drive, as well as updating our governing documents. And thank you to some of the SGLCers who have taken a look at the statutes and submitted formatting errors so I can fix them. Have a great weekend.
Any questions for the AG? Seeing none, thank you. Cabinet Forum, Chief of Staff Pearson, given by Student Body President.
Hi, Senate. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight. Hope you're all doing well and finals prep is going smoothly. We wrapped up our last SGLC meeting last night and they selected their councils. We will begin sorting them this week. We also have our color wars on Saturday to help them bond before they split into their groups. It's been great to work with them this semester. As I step into the role of communications director, I ask for your patience with media requests and encourage you to submit them as early as possible so we can complete them on time. Please continue to contact your liaison and I'll be coordinating meetings with leadership regarding any process updates. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you guys around the office.
Any questions that the student body president can answer? Chair Barella?
Just relating to like the stepping into the role of the communications director, what will happen to the OPS funds that will no longer be being paid to that person?
So we're looking at that. Like I said, nothing's been decided for what's going to happen next semester. If these next 3 weeks will go well, we'll kind of look into what that will look like if we don't refill the position and if we can sustain ourselves with what we have. In terms of that OPS funding, we would be looking into adding more hours to our other cabinet members that are kind of fulfilling some of those responsibilities.
Any other question for the student body president? Seeing none, are you also doing deputy?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on, sorry. Senator Lipner?
I was just asking if you could loop me in as caucus leadership chair with all of those conversations. Thank you.
Perfect.
Right, Deputy Chief of Staff report, also given by student body president.
Hi again. Hope you all are doing well. Since we last spoke, I've been working hard preparing the Division of Student Affairs for their events. In addition to this, I've worked on creating a more organized system in the SG cage. So if anyone has inventory related questions, please send them my way. I will have updates very soon with the final look.
Any questions that the student body president can answer? Seeing none, Director of Student Affairs, also given by the student body president.
One of the last ones, I promise. Good evening, Senate, and happy 1 week before Winter Wonderland. I have been deep in the throes of planning, and I can't wait to see all of the hard work pay off. It'll be next Thursday, November 20th from 7 to 10 p.m. on Memory Mall. I hope you can find some time to stop by and have some fun. Thank you.
All right, any questions that the student body president can answer? Seeing none, thank you. Governmental Affairs Coordinator, Coordinator DeMarco.
Right. Good evening, Senate. I hope you all had a great Veterans Day and long weekend. This month for me has consisted of scheduling and conducting Day at the Capitol interviews, as well as scheduling meetings with UCF alumni and Gray Robinson. I have also been working with GAP on finalizing our legislative priorities, scheduling Day at the Capitol prep sessions, and Day at the Capitol logistics. And that's all for me. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.
Any questions for the GAC? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Academic Affairs
Academic, yeah.
Coordinator, also given by the Athletics Coordinator.
Good evening, Senate. Shivani said this month so far consisted of scheduling and conducting Day at the sorry, that's the wrong one. Shivani said, hi, everyone. Hope you all had an amazing week. This week, I have finalized all the details for midnight breakfast, which is on December 1st, and the coffee break, which is on the 2nd. I have also selected a professor to give the Knight's Choice Awards, which will be awarded on February 3rd. I have also been working on setting up TEDx, which the application will be ready soon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Any questions that the Athletics Coordinator can answer? Seeing none, Athletics Coordinator, Coordinator Jones.
Hi, Senate. I want to thank everyone who helped out and showed up to Frost Warning this past Thursday. It was a huge success, like Vice President Benitez said, and I'm thankful for the support from SG, athletics, and the university as we also celebrated the inaugural Space Week. Tomorrow, we will be helping out with the Midnight 5K presented by the RWC. If you're volunteering and have any questions, please let me know. And if you're interested in participating in the race, they will be accepting walk-ups at check-in tomorrow night.
Any questions for the Athletics Coordinator? Seeing none, thank you. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator, given by Vice President Benitez.
Hi, Senate. This is Nora's report. I hope everyone's semester is going well, especially with finals coming up. As for me, I've been busy planning events for next semester. Last week, we held the Interfaith Council, where we had representatives of seven different religions come together for meaningful discussion. It was an amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to expanding it even further next time. I've also been working alongside Chair Mello on the disability panel happening on January 28th at 12 p.m. in Cape Florida Ballroom, so make sure to come out. I'm also organizing the Cultural Fusion Fest, which will be taking place in the Pegasus Ballroom on Tuesday, February 3rd at, I think that should be 6 p.m. I've also been coordinating the caucus takeover on January 21st in the atrium with Chair. Sorry, Mila, I cannot. SBA Chair and Chair Lipner. Finally, I want to give a big shout out to the SGLCers who've been helping out. If you need anything, please always feel free to reach out.
Any questions that the student body vice president can answer? Seeing none, thank you. Safety and Transportation Coordinator, Coordinator Lopez.
Good evening, Senate. I'm happy to announce that the Toys for Tickets campaign is up and running for students from now until December 5th. Next week on November 20th, Coffee with the Cop will be happening in the atrium where students can register their bikes and scooters with UCF PD to help with the search process of lost or stolen items. Within the next weeks, I will be working with the Black Caucus to discuss the open forum event they're planning for students. But if you guys have any questions or want to collaborate on anything, please feel free to reach out to me.
Any questions for the Safety and Transportation Coordinator, Deezer Caminos?
You said what time was Coffee with the Cop, and that was when you can register a scooter?
At 10 a.m.
All right, any other questions for the Safety and Transportation Coordinator? Seeing none, thank you. Sustainability, Wellness, and Innovations Coordinator, given by the Student Body Vice President.
Hello, Senate. This is Ava's report. I am happy to announce that our first sustainability fair, Keep UCF Wild, went well, representing UCF's dedication to its native landscapes and ecosystems. Thank you to everyone who helped make this event possible. I'm currently shifting focus to our partnership with OTAL Compost, making sure that Market Wednesday tabling comes back stronger in the spring. I'm also working on a new partnership with a company who handles e-waste pickup and hopefully open a disposable area here in the Union, like Ava mentioned whenever she was being confirmed as part of one of her initiatives.
Any questions that the Student Body Vice President can answer? Seeing none. Graphics Design Coordinator, also given by Vice President Benitez.
Last one, y'all, from me. Good evening, Senate. So sorry I couldn't be here tonight, but I hope everyone's having a great week. These past few weeks, I've been working on finishing the designs for our Frost Warning t-shirts and social media graphics. Additionally, I have been working to design graphics and revise merch designs for Winter Wonderland with our Director of Student Affairs. Additionally, I have begun working on graphics for our intersectional art event. That's it for me. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their evening.
Any questions that the Student Body Vice President can answer? Seeing none, thank you. And then announcements from the Digital Media Coordinator, Coordinator Para.
Good evening, Senate. I hope we all had an amazing week. These past couple of weeks, I've been working on getting the broadcast channel back up and running so that there is some sort of one-on-one connection with the student body. I also worked on creating content for Frost Warning, which was a success, and a video with our Safety and Transportation Coordinator for Toys for Tots, which is currently at 68.5K views and is sitting as one of our most popular videos this year. I also wanted to mention that since we're currently going through a transition period, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and please give us some patience with this turnover time.
Any questions for Coordinator Para? Deezer Caminos?
Could you elaborate on the broadcasting channel?
Yeah, so it's gonna be like if we give out like DMs, we're not receiving any replies directly through there. So if there is any DMs going through like by like the student body, I'll still be able to see that. But it's more like, you know, like a little text message kind of being like, this event is going on, make sure to show face or show out, and just like more like a text rather than just like your regular post.
Any other questions for Coordinator Para? Senator Ali.
President voting.
Senator Ali, President voting, so noted at 7:26 p.m. Any more questions for Coordinator Para? Seeing none, thank you. All right, announcements from the Chief Justice Pizarro.
Good evening, all. This week, the Judicial Council, specifically the Judicial Outreach Committee, otherwise known as JOC, hosted our annual Lounging with the Lawyers event, where we featured 5 amazing professionals in law. I want to thank everyone that attended and supported the council in our outreach efforts. A special shout out to Associate Justice David N. Leonard for moderating and hosting the event, and all justices and SGLCers that helped with volunteering efforts. Today, I also facilitated interviews for the new Assistant Director position for Student Government alongside Speaker Courts, Pro Tem Hamid, and Supervisor of Elections Presley. As mentioned last week, the Judicial Council will be having a judicial review hearing next week, Wednesday, November 19th at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Charge-On Chamber.
Any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the Supervisor of Elections, Supervisor Presley.
Good evening, Senate. I hope everyone is doing well. The commission had its prospective presidential and Senate candidates Q&A yesterday, so thank you to everyone who attended. Hope you gained a clear understanding of what the election process will look like this spring. As a reminder, candidate packets and petitions for those wishing to run for the presidential ticket or Senate will open on Monday, January 12th at 9 a.m., the first day of the spring semester. These forms will be available on the Election Commission's Night Connect. And if you have any questions before then, please contact me via email, and my email is listed there. Last week at Senate, I announced that the commission will be conducting a mock violation hearing in preparation for the spring election. Although our time was unfortunately cut short due to the union unexpectedly closing during our GBM, I was still pleased with the outcome. We'll be conducting another mock hearing prior to the declaration of candidacy period in the spring. Next, the Election Commission has selected Mondays from 5 to 7 p.m. as their meeting times for GBM's next semester. This time remains tentative, as does its location. And then lastly, yesterday I attended LJR to share concerns I had regarding Bill 5721, which will be seen on its second reading in front of the entire Senate body today. Below, I have attached a memorandum restating and expanding on my concerns with the bill, particularly regarding factors that were not considered when it was first brought to the table. And if you want to open it, I will read it to you now. Dear 57th Student Body Senate, my name is Amara Presley, and I currently serve as a Supervisor of Elections. This is my second year on the commission, and I am one of 3 commissioners who were present during the last election period. With that experience, I come before you today to express concerns regarding Bill 5721, which will prohibit the Judicial Council and the Election Commission from entering an executive session during the deliberation period of a hearing. While I understand Senator Wangen's concerns regarding sunshine laws and the transparency statutes, I believe this bill could unintentionally compromise the safety and efficiency of the commission. As UCF student government was designed to reflect the United States federal government, I believe it's appropriate to refer to their structure for this matter. When the Election Commission conducts a violation hearing, we function in a role similar to that of a jury. The 12th edition of the Black's Law Dictionary defines a jury as a group of persons selected according to law and given the power to decide questions of fact and return a verdict in the case submitted to them. After being sworn to the positions, commissioners become responsible for conducting hearings concerning violations of the Election Code of Ethics. Title 6, Statute 608.1, Section A, further clarifies that the Election Commission shall have a full authority over all election violation hearings. In federal practice, grand juries deliberate privately to protect all parties, encourage open discussion, and safeguard jurors from unwarranted influence or retaliation. Furthermore, according to Florida law, the Election Commission is considered a quasi-judicial body, which is an administrative entity that acts in a judicial-like manner, and therefore grants us the ability to be treated as a jury during violation hearings. This precedent not only explains why, but also shows the importance of allowing the Commission to go into the executive session for our own deliberations. With this definition and precedents in mind, I will share 2 testimonies on behalf of my time as a commissioner this past year. The information I'm about to share is documented in the public record under Election Commission violation hearing minutes on the UCF FG website. One of our hearings last spring involved a Tier 4 violation concerning allegations of online slander through platforms such as Reddit and Discord. After reviewing the evidence, the commission determined that a violation occurred. However, much of the testimony presented during the hearing centered on a broader political issues outside of the scope of our statutory responsibilities. Commissioners listened to extensive and graphic accounts that, while deeply impactful, were not directly relevant to the affidavit under review. During our deliberation that was held in an executive session, I reminded the commission that our role requires impartiality and that we cannot focus on the political issues since they did not apply to the affidavit. As students and individuals, we collectively empathize with the circumstances described, but as commissioners, our responsibility was to evaluate only the alleged violation. And despite clarifying this distinction when issuing the sanction, the commission was still harassed, reported to the Anti-Defamation League, and labeled anti-Semitic by the sanctioned party, a statement that ultimately did not reflect the character of those sitting on the commission. This experience highlights the risk of public deliberation. Statements made in the context of impartial decision-making could be taken out of context, potentially exposing commissioners to reputational harm or retaliation. Furthermore, I wanted to highlight that the Election Commission deals with both student government agents and regular students during these hearings. Although Title IX grants the Election Commission the ability to censure student government agents for unruly behavior, those powers do not extend to most of the students we encounter during our hearings. Third parties do not have the same understanding of statutes that an agent may, which can lead to retaliation similar in nature to the one I described above. As a courtesy, the commission already provides summaries of the deliberation to both parties, but names are omitted to protect individual commissioners from scrutiny. Public deliberations in such cases could compromise both the safety of the commissioners and the integrity of the process, particularly when sensitive or emotionally charged testimony is involved. Additionally, I would like to highlight that public deliberations are open the floor to disruptive behavior. Another hearing last spring resulted in the disqualification of a candidate following a deliberation that lasted nearly 2 hours. The extended time frame was due in part to the accused sending repeated text messages to a commissioner during the process, information we later found out, including statements such as, "You better not disqualify me, why are you guys taking so long, and what are you guys talking about?" Although the candidate was not physically present, this direct communication created pressure that hindered open discussion among commissioners. At the conclusion of this deliberation and the announcement of the sanction, the candidate still retaliated by threatening other student government agents and posting slanderous documents and articles online about the commission and another presidential ticket. And to be clear, as I share this information, I was not serving as a supervisor of elections at this time this occurred, and therefore had limited ability to intervene. It is my belief that commissioners are expected to remain impartial, and if a member feels unable to do so, recusal is the appropriate course of action. However, as this current election period supervisor of elections, I would not stand for disruption to university business, and this includes disturbing election commission hearings. This means that any student who disrupts a hearing is in violation of the Golden Rule Handbook and will be reported to the Student Conduct and Academic Integrity, a division of the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities. Nonetheless, this is something I wish to avoid and could effectively do so by giving the commission a space to deliberate privately with one another about the affidavit without fear of scrutiny or unruly behavior from the accused, filer, witnesses, or any other third parties. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the Senate to either not pass this bill or amend it to allow exceptions for all election commission hearings involving affidavits with sensitive information like the one I described above, after approval from a Senate-designated committee. Once again, I understand Senator Wange's concerns, but there are other factors that need to be considered as the Election Commission deals with students not bound by our student government constitution and statutes. By granting the Election Commission this exception, we will be able to avoid reporting students to the SCAI and students finding themselves in violation of the Golden Rule Handbook. I believe this approach balances transparency with the need to protect commissioners and maintain the integrity of our deliberations. Thank you for your time and considerations. I am open to any questions.
Any questions for the supervisor of elections? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the ANSF committee chair, given by Vice Chair Sherman.
Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Chair Kaufman says he is sorry again for not being there. The committee did not meet this week, but we worked on adding recurring wish list pages to each of the budget packets that the entities have already received.
Any questions for the ANSF committee vice chair? Seeing none, announcements from the scholarship committee chair, given by Vice President Benitez.
Okay. Okay, I promise this is the last time I'm up here. Hi, everyone. Scholarship Committee Chair Vicaria said, over the past couple weeks, I've received department scholarship requests. So I'll be setting up a time sometime next week for department heads to present the request to the committee. If you have any questions, feel free to contact her.
Alrighty, thank you. Okay, caucus reports, Disability Caucus. It says, hi everyone, sorry I can't be there today. I've been working with Coordinator Alaraj on the disability panel happening on January 28th at 12 p.m. in Cape, Florida. So make sure to come out and look for more info soon. The caucus has also been planning the ASL Day celebration that will be hosted in April with more details to come. For those in the caucus, our last meeting of the semester will be on the 17th from 3 to 4 p.m. in Student Union Room 219 as usual. Thanks everyone. ICTC Chair Varela.
All right, I'm gonna get my stuff here. Oh, sorry. We did not meet this week. It was the Veterans Day, so we'll be meeting next week. Additionally, we need extra tabling support for downtown tabling on Tuesday, ideally from 2 to 4 p.m. if you're available. So if you're all available and interested in helping, reach out to myself, Vice Chair Perez, and fill out the when to meet I link to the agenda. Thank you.
Any questions for the ICTC chair? Seeing none, Latin Hispanic Caucus Chair Trejo Hernandez.
Hi, Senate. Latin Hispanic Caucus will be meeting for the last time this semester next Monday at 12 p.m. via Zoom, as we do not have a room. We'll be telling with SBA downtown campus the next day. Also, here's the when to meet if you're in the caucus or are student joining for next semester, so we can get a room and time put in. Thank you.
Any questions for the Latin Hispanic Caucus Chair? Seeing none, Sustainability Caucus Chair Lipner.
Sustainability Caucus Sustainability Caucus did not meet this week, but we will be meeting next week at 4:15 p.m. on Tuesday in this SG conference room. And then Caucus Leadership's November meeting is looking like it will be held next week at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, also in the SG conference room and via Zoom. So please be there if you are a caucus chair or vice chair. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Any questions for Chair Lipner? Seeing none, Women's Caucus, Chair Brenda or Vice Chair?
Hi, everyone. Cameron says, so sorry I can't be there today. We are having our last meeting of the semester tomorrow at 10:30 in the SG conference room, and we will be discussing plans for next semester. Great job to Vice Chair Jones and the LGBT caucus for the sexual health and wellness bingo today. It was a huge success. Loved getting to collaborate with Hearts for the Homeless and the LGBTQ plus caucus. Make sure to show up for the event tomorrow at 10:30. It's from 10:30 to 2 on the Student Union patio. If you're interested in joining the caucus, you're currently in it, please fill out this win to meet so we can get that date set.
Any questions for Vice Chair Smith? Seeing none, announcements from the Senate President. The polos have been reordered, so if you need your polo, please reach out to me ASAP. Just make sure you're being respectful in the office. I haven't heard anything bad. I just want to give you guys that reminder. The last meeting that we will have is next week. If you wish to come in appropriate festive clothing, I encourage you to do so. The only thing that would probably be inappropriate is like coming in like a inflatable like reindeer costume or something. So please don't do that. And then plans for SLC in the spring. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, our ILA will be studying abroad for the spring semester. And the current plan is for those duties of SLT to dissolve into me and the ELA's position. If you guys have any questions about that in particular, please reach out to me personally because we are pretty strapped on time right now. Any questions for me? Seeing none, ILA report, ILA Rudy.
Hi, everyone. So SGLC officially had our last meeting yesterday, which is crazy, but it's been such a great semester. I just wanted to say on behalf of all of the coordinators, a big thank you to everyone that was a mentor, a resource, or a friendly face to this year's SGLC class. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, so I really appreciate all of the work and kindness that you guys have been doing. We will be picking the councils in the next couple of weeks, but if you have any questions for me, as always, please feel free to reach out.
Any questions for the ILA? Seeing none, ELA report, ELA read.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to say go repost Jason's wonderful Knight's Gift for Good event. Okay, so as we heard, there is a transition period over in comms, which means kind of affects my job a little bit. So I just want to be very transparent and give you guys the rundown of how it's all going to work on my end. So for you guys, it's pretty much not going to change. Please still submit your graphics request form through me. I create a concept for the exec branch, and then I submit their graphics request form, and it gets posted and all that jazz, which is why it is going to be incredibly imperative that you all post or submit your graphic request forms at bare minimum 2 weeks in advance, because now I also have some extra steps to take. So it'll just make it easier on all of our ends if we're on top of that. I cannot guarantee that your post will get posted if it is not submitted in time, just because we are, again, we do have some extra steps. We need to be courteous of the exec cabinet and the comms team's time. Also, just kind of please send me any immediate comms questions, anything like that. I really would prefer not to overwhelm Soraya's inbox right now, especially because she is still in this transition period, kind of taking over that, and still has to do committee reveals for SGLC. So any immediate questions, feel free to shoot me a Teams message and I'll be happy to give you an answer or guide you in the right way. So again, any questions, let me know. In terms of my other ELA jobs, I have 2 dean meetings next week, which are the last dean meetings of the semester. I'm so excited. So Monday we have the College of Business, and Thursday we have the College of Sciences. So shout out. So just, yeah, any questions, let me know.
Any questions for the ELA? Seeing none, and I can confirm that Thursday is College of Sciences. Senate President Pro Tempore report, Pro Temp Hamid.
Hi, guys. I hope you all are doing great. So, big news tomorrow is the Night's Gift for Good donation drive. So, if you have any clothes or non perishable food that you are wishing to donate, please stop by. With all your donations, you'll be entered to win a raffle of a bunch of really cool things like shirts and different merch. So, if you're available at any time during the event, please come by to help or table. It'll be a lot of fun. And it's a really good way to connect to the community. Also, please repost the post. It was posted on the SG Instagram. Please do that. Also, extra special congrats to Vice Chair Jones for her amazing work on bingo today. It was really fun. Also, amazing work for the fiscal committees who tabled today as well. Also, please join the Minecraft server. I'm having so much fun. Every single day I play Minecraft, and it's a lot of fun. And also, good luck on all your finals or exams coming up.
Any questions for the Pro Tempore? Senator Leon?
I know non-perishable can vary by definition. So is there any preference like canned food, pasta, things like that? I would say canned food.
Any other questions for the Pro Tempore? Seeing none. DLEC report given by Pro Temp Hamid.
So Ryan says, hi, everyone. Sorry again for not being there this week. Tonight is our final dress rehearsal for Pineapple Theater's performance of Puffs. So thank you to whoever is reading this for plugging my show. Whoa, did not know that I was doing that. But performances are tomorrow at 7 p.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Darden Auditorium at the Rosen campus. So tickets are free for UCF students, and I've linked it below if you want to come out and support. I don't think he included this, but to get like the code to get a free ticket, you have to DM Pineapple Theater on Instagram. So if you want the free code, do that. As for Senate business, all of the fiscal bill presentations are already in the folder. We have a lot of fiscal bills on second reading again, so please be sure to give the RSOs your full attention. Additionally, we have a lot of internal bills tonight. Please do your best to read the legislation ahead of time and come prepared with any questions or thoughts. The funding forms for the fiscal bills will close after Senate tonight. The CRT and FAO allocation forms will close 48 hours before the committee's final meeting. All of the funding forms will open about a week before the spring semester begins. So enacted legislation, internal bills 5715, resolutions 5709, and proclamations 5713. And today we'll be seeing 5 fiscal bills on first reading, 4 fiscal bills and 2 internal bills on third reading, and 6 fiscal bills, one of which was postponed in FAO to add more to their bill, 8 internal bills on second reading.
Any questions that the Pro Tempore can answer? Seeing none, Senator Renda.
Present voting.
Senator Renda, present voting, so noted at 7:44 p.m. DSER report, DSER Capinos.
Good evening, Senate. I hope everyone is enjoying the cold weather, or those that can enjoy the cold weather. For me, it is a little chilly. For upcoming events, we have our potluck, which I'm really excited for. That's going to be this Saturday, November 15th, around 7 o'clock. That's going to be in the office right over there. So bring some food. There's a link in a Sign Up Genius. If you want to bring something sweet, bring something salty, whatever you have on hand. And then if you also have like games or things like that, I would love to see those as well. And then we have our last event as a Lake Claire Day on November 23rd. That's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to go to Lake Claire and we're going to have a blast. Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have to have some food there as well. And then also, I believe that we have our internal bonding happening all throughout break. So if you want to log on, feel free to do that as well. In terms of our IM leagues, they're going strong. We have our soccer and volleyball. Our first volleyball game happened. It was last week. We won't have another game for a little bit. We fought hard. I know they played a great game, a lot of spirit, and I love to see it. And in terms of soccer, you know, it was cold. We were missing people, and we still brought home the win. We brought home the win to 14-3. So not by 2 points, not by 5, not by 10. We beat them by 11 points. So we showed up. So the only thing that we ask of the body is to come out and support. It's great to win, but it's better to win with you guys there. And then finally, we have our RSO allocations. They have finally been allocated to all the senators, so that's really exciting. Just be on the lookout for that. Starting next semester, I'm going to put a new system in place on how I would like to structure how we reach out to the RSOs. That I'm going to be working with Court to do that as well. And yeah, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out.
Any questions for these, sir? Seeing none. Old business none. Fiscal committee caucus time. I hereby adjourn this. Wait, CRT 5 minutes. I hereby adjourn this meeting at 7:46 p.m. to reconvene at 7:51 p.m. All right, everyone back to your seats. I hereby re-adjourn this meeting at 7:57 p.m. I know that there are a few people who came in. Senator Casimiro, President voting, so noted at 7:57 p.m. Fiscal Committee report, CRT Committee, Chair Sherman.
Hi, everyone. This week in CRT, we approved allocations 57, 312, 335, 343, 352, 353, 354, 355, 363, 373, and 374. We denied allocations 345, 359 through 362, 364 through 372, and 375 through 380. We postponed allocations 57, 356, 357, 358, PPI allocation 57, 350, postponed fiscal bill 5737, and in caucus passed that fiscal bill. In the spring semester, we'll be meeting Wednesdays at 1 p.m. and there are open seats if anyone is interested in joining.
Any questions for the CRT Committee Chair? Seeing none, FAO Committee Chair Lush.
In committee this week, we approved allocations 57-109 through 113, resaw and approved allocation 5753, postponed allocation 57-108, approved fiscal bill 5738, and postponed fiscal bill 5740. FAO will have our last meeting next week, and the form will close Monday at 3 p.m. And we will meet at 10 a.m. on Thursdays next semester. So I'll be bringing Duncan some days because it's so early, definitely the first couple of days. So join if you're available.
Any questions for the FAO Committee Chair? Seeing none, ORS Committee Chair Rose.
We didn't meet last week due to the football game. We're going to meet tomorrow as usual, and then next Friday will be our final meeting of the semester. It'll be fully virtual. And then make sure to fill out the when to meet for spring if you're in ORS.
Any questions for the ORS Committee Chair? Seeing none, fiscal legislation, notice of legislation on first reading, fiscal bills 5744 and 45 remanded to FAO, fiscal bill 5746 remanded CRT, fiscal bill 5747 remanded FAO, and fiscal bill 5748 remanded to CRT. Notice of legislation on third reading. Is there a motion for speeches, questioning, and debate? Vice Chair Hernandez.
Motion for a 5-10-10.
There's been a motion for a 5-10-10 and a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Chair Gaudio.
President voting.
Chair Gaudio, President voting, so noted at 7:59 p.m. First, we have fiscal bill 5732, funding for 22 members of MedLife to travel to the MedLife Movement Spring Lima SLT Mobile Clinic in Lima, Peru from March 14th to March 22nd, 2026. Senator Green, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I yield to the, oh, no, my bad. This is third reading. So same, I don't believe there were any changes done to the bill since we last saw it last week. Motion to vote.
All right, there's been a motion to vote. Second. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. With a vote count of 41-0, fiscal bill 5732 passes third reading. Next, we have fiscal bill 5734, funding for American Society of Civil Engineers to create the Steel Bridge project for the Southeast Student Symposium at Florida Atlantic University on March 12, 2026. Pro Tem Hamid, you have 5 minutes.
No changes have been made to the bill. It's the same thing that we saw last time. Move to questioning.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of voting. Okay, with a vote count of 40-1-0, fiscal bill 5734 passes third reading. Next, we have fiscal bill 5736, funding for 15 members of the Pre-Medical American Medical Student Association to travel to the MedLife Service Learning Trip in San Jose, Costa Rica from March 14th, 2026 to March 22nd, 2026. Pro Tem Hamid, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Nothing has changed on this bill either. Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 41 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5736 passes third reading. Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5739, funding for 27 members of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers at UCF to travel to the IEEE SouthCon 2026 in Huntsville, Alabama from March 12th, 2026 to March 15th, 2026. Vice Chair Charo Hernandez, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Nothing has changed. I move to approve this bill.
There's been a motion to approve this bill by general consent. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, this bill has been approved by general consent. Next, we have legislation on second reading, Fiscal Bill 5737, funding for 33 members of the Student Physical Therapy Association to travel to the American Physical Therapy Association Combined Sections meeting in Anaheim, California from February 12th to February 14th, 2026. Senator Connolly, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I'd like to yield my time to the RSO.
Okay, to the RSO, you may come up whenever you're ready.
Good. Am I on? Yeah. Oh, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for hearing me out. My name is Mackenzie. I'm one of the members of the Student Physical Therapy Association. I'm going to try to be brief and direct, and then that way I leave time for questions if anyone has them. So a quick overview on the SPTA background, student member involvement that we have in our cohort, CSM benefits of attending, and then cost breakdown. So the Student Physical Therapy Association is here on campus, and we're just a group of students trying to get our doctorate in physical therapy. One of our missions and goals that we have as a pillar of our cohort is to promote awareness of the physical therapy program on campus and in the community. And it really does help facilitate the growth and the wellness of us as physical therapy students. And we are given lots of volunteer services, volunteer opportunities, and to provide our services throughout the community. So all SPTA members are also members of the American Physical Therapy Association, as well as the Florida Physical Therapy Association group. So that is both the national and the state level of like the overseeing board for physical therapy as a whole. So SPTA member involvement, here I just have a couple things listed of some big item tickets that we all get to participate in. So Go Baby Go, Apopka Clinic, Down Syndrome Association, Walk to End Alzheimer's, Student Assisted Workout Program here at the UCF RWC, injury screenings for our ROTC and marching band members, and then my personal favorite, Oceans for Hope. So these are just some of the examples of how we as SPTA members are able to provide our time and services and give back to not only the like Orlando and UCF community, but the greater Orlando community itself. So our APTA Combined Sections meeting, CSM, will be held in Anaheim, California, 2026, February 12th to 14th. The plan as of now is to depart Orlando on February 11th and then return to Orlando on February 15th. We'll be catching a red eye on the 14th and then landing nice and easy right there at 6 a.m. on February 15th. So some APTA CSM benefits. So educationally speaking, there will be all branches of physical therapy at this conference presenting the most current research and just literature. It's going to include the orthopedics, sports, neurology, geriatrics, pediatrics, and acute care settings. We are also very fortunate to now have over 15 students from our UCF cohort presenting their own research that has been conducted here on campus. This is a really big opportunity for all of our individuals of the cohort because physical therapy, while it is a health profession to serve others, there's also a research branch that often gets overlooked. So that's a big part here of our cohort is research focus to continue just new discoveries and understanding more about how the human body works and how we're better able to help others. Professionally, we are having a large opportunity here for professional development. We're able to sit in and interact and get to know a lot of these top researchers and top people in their fields and be able to just discuss with them and really take, just words of advice from them and try to become these people that we look up to. So it's really special. And then I'll take you to almost the last slide. So just the last little bit of benefits. This is going to be one of the largest national conferences. It's going to be over 18,000 attendees. They come from across the nation and across the world. The SPTA group has been able to attend the last 7 years, so that's really awesome that we've been able to have our foot in the door for so long. We do emphasize this trip for our third-year cohort, not our first and second-year cohorts, specifically because our clinical development, education, and growth doesn't start until really your second year of schooling. So we think that sometimes the opportunity may be not missed, but just is taken for, it's held in a higher regard when you come to your third year because you are closer to graduating and closer to knowing where it is you want to come out into the real world and where you are to start working. And then for fundraising, we do a collection of semesterly dues from first all the way through third year. And then we also do merchandise fundraising to be able to prepare for this trip. Cost breakdown, you can see registration will be 33 students of our 37 cohort members. It's going to be $320 a person. And then for the hotel, there will be 9 rooms, 4 people per room. But since we are an odd number, the last 2 rooms get a little tricky. So it'll be 9 rooms with 2 beds that can hold 4 people. And then 1 room will be a bed with 2 singles. So the total cost of the trip comes under just $17,000. And then here you can see the hotel verification where room 9 is the one that's going to be a different price. That is due to the 2 beds. And then conference registration fees. We are all student members. That's one of the requirements of being a part of our cohort is to be a member of the APTA Association. So then that way we are able to have a cheaper student member ticket than if we were a non-section member. Any questions?
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Gaudio.
Just reading through the bill, I noticed that your dues are $175 annually for 37 members. Your expected contribution is $5,000, which is $1,475 less than what your dues would bring in. And your half of the money is around $8,500. So could you just maybe explain a little bit about this? Were these just like clerical oversights or?
Explain more about what, like how the money filters out?
So it just says that your expected contribution in outside funding sources, which does include dues, was $5,000. But just running the quick math on the dues money alone that you get is more than that. And then the Senate contribution is more than you get from the dues. You did say it was from merchandise fundraising, but I'm just trying to figure out why the numbers aren't lining up.
Understood. I'm not the best with math, so I'm going to apologize on that. But globally, what I think you're asking, and then let me know if I'm wrong. So while we take in these dues, this is not the only trip that requires the financial services. We also do board preparation for our licensure exam that we have once we graduate. So actually in 3 weeks, we have a company that comes in and they sit us all down and they run us through the last few years of board preparation exams. And then they give us study materials that we have paid for in advance. And then we have an individual come in and tutor us on how to prepare to take the exam. It is definitely worth the expensive cost that it is. Last year, we had a 100% pass rate for our NPTE board exam, and then we were 36 points higher than the national average for our board exam pass rate as well.
All right, are there any other questions for the RSO? Senator Lipner, Chair Sherman, and then Deezer Capinos.
For that $5,000 in outside funding, can you clarify where that's coming from?
Yes. So I listed the outside funding as the $5,000 that is raised from merchandise specifically. So in order to provide opportunity for every cohort to raise money outside of the program, it's difficult for PT students and the course load that we have to consistently raise money, more so than a couple $100 when we do like a Kelly's ice cream fundraiser. So every cohort has a year to be in charge of the merchandise. That would be in charge of, I mean, we use the same person every year, but be in charge of the books. And then whatever you are able to make that year that you are in charge of the merchandise, that is part of your pot that you get to hold moving forward leading up to the CSM conference.
Chair Sherman? Okay, Deezer Capinos?
Forgive me if you've already mentioned this, but there was 33 members of your RSO going, and you said 15 were presenting research. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe over 15.
For those follow up with me.
Yeah.
For those that aren't presenting research, are they there for observational research? Are they there
to just get experience in the field. Could you just elaborate on that?
Yes. So everyone this year, everyone did apply to present their research before we go. So I was someone, I applied to present my research and I was not chosen, which was very unfortunate. But I will go to continue to read the research that is being published and then be able to have opportunities to talk to those PTs who are putting out the research and take their information and kind of apply it into my practical setting. So it's really just a collection of knowledge to be able to hear what's the latest information that's coming out. The way PT works as of right now is around every 7 to 10 years, new clinical practice guidelines are posted based off of each population. So by being able to go to these meetings, you are able to hear the research that will eventually be coming out in the CPG just 7 to 10 years after.
Any other questions for the RSO? Seeing none, we're not in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Gaudio?
I move to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's amendment. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
This is a nothing change. They said they expected 5,000 for merchandising. I'm just adding the dues amount to the expected contribution just so that lines up.
Okay, we are not in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we are not in a period of debate. Senator Lipner?
Yeah, this makes complete sense, and I understand why the RSO may have been a little bit confused because we've had this discussion on the floor before where outside funding may or may not include dues, and that wording is a little unclear. I'll be passing some legislation in the future to hopefully change that, but I'll be voting in favor of this amendment and move to vote.
All right, there's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 39 to 0, the amendment passes. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. I will see the taking out the these as technicals. Are there any other pieces of debate on this bill? Senator Lipner?
Yeah, this seems like a great opportunity. Obviously, physical therapy is something we can all benefit from. So having a UCF physical therapists be some of the best in the nation is a great thing to hear from. I'll be voting in favor, and I urge you to do the same. Thank you.
All right, any other pieces of debate? Senator Escobar?
Mayor Ratain.
You may.
Yeah, it's great to see a fellow CHIPS RSO pursue a conference and gain education from, other universities and professionals. So I'll be voting in favor and encourage you all to do the same and move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we're now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 39 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5737 passes second reading. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you all so much.
Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5738, funding for Vietnamese American Student Association to host the Tet Lunar New Year at UCF Pegasus Ballroom on February 22nd, 2026. Senator Nguyen, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Are you to the RSO?
Okay, to the RSO, you can come up whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're good. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Dorothy Ta. I'm here on behalf of the Vietnamese American Student Association. I was last year's media director, this year's secretary. Here I am requesting funding for our Tet showcase in the spring, celebrating the Vietnamese Lunar New Year in the Pegasus Ballroom on February 22nd, 2026. So a little bit about our organization. We were founded in 1982 with the purpose of fostering values of leadership. We promote ideals like community, diversity, inclusiveness with the Vietnamese American culture here, and lifelong friendships. We focus on community service events, cultural shows, fun-filled meetings, and heartwarming socials. Up here, I have some pictures from last year's STET showcase. We have cultural events, cultural dances, performances, and we have Vietnamese American skits. These showcases, we have about 500 attendees, and we also collect donations for our collective philanthropy project, which is this year is helping Vietnamese handicap. Okay. This every spring we have a guest performer. This year we want to bring Young Kai down. He's a Canadian Chinese indie pop singer-songwriter based in Vancouver. He had a hit song called Blue that topped charts in various countries, and his music is very dreamy, nostalgic, and whatnot. For the cost breakdown, that's everything that goes into funding our showcase. Texas ballroom reservation, food and beverages like catering, our media tech equipment, and then the guest performer quote. Finally, this is the total show cost is right under $23,000. I'm asking for half, $11,468.15, and then Vasa will contribute the second half. Any questions?
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions for the RSO? Chair Gaudio.
May I direct a question to the ORS chair?
You may.
Which piece of legislation was the one where we implemented our spending policy for the year, like our spending cap?
I think it would have been like 5701 or like one of the very first couple.
Any other questions? Seeing, Senator Lipner.
For the special performer, is that quote verified with that individual?
Not yet. We would like to have a confirmation from funding from the Senate first before we can confirm with them, but that's like a reasonable price there.
Any other questions for the RSO? Senator Trey Hernandez.
Is your event open to UCF students and the public?
Yes, we have a lot of people, friends and family. We have external Vietnamese organizations that come in as well.
All right. Any other questions? Diesel Capinos?
Have you confirmed with the performer that they're available during that day?
Yes. On the last slide, we have quotes that link to a document that have all the confirmations, like emails and screenshots and such with the management of that guy.
Any other questions?
I have a follow-up if I may.
You may.
If let's say something happens and he isn't able to show up, do you have backups or other people that you have in mind for that?
Unfortunately, I can't give you a detailed answer since that's not my officer position, but I know our external vice president has been in touch with multiple artists.
Okay. Any other questions for the RSO? Chair Hernandez?
So like you don't plan on charging anyone to come to attend this break?
Yes, it is free for everyone. That's because our officer board, we fundraise and we reach out to businesses for sponsorships as well.
Any other questions for the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this? Senator Lipner?
Yeah, this is a great event. I was happy to go last year and it was really wonderful. So I urge you all to go this year. I'll be voting in favor and I urge you all to do the same. Thank you.
Okay. Any other pieces of debate? Senator Green?
I heard there's milk tea, so I'll be voting in favor.
Okay, perfect. Any other pieces of debate? Seeing Deidre Capinos?
I'm also in favor. I think that this will be a great event. I haven't attended it before, but I'm looking forward to it in the future. The only concern that I have is for the performer. I'm assuming that can get worked out between this reading and next reading. So I'm in support of this legislation, and the contingency that more information on that is going to come out. So thank you.
All right, with the reaffirmation, are there any indication? Seeing none, with that, we will move to voting procedures. With a vote count of 38 to 1 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5738 passes second reading. Thank you for coming out. Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5741, funding for 50 members of the Advocates and Interactive Media to travel to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, California from March 8th to March 14th, 2026. Senator Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I'll be yielding to the RSO.
All right, going up to the RSO. You can come up whenever you're ready.
There's a button. Hello, my name is Q. I am the Secretary for the Advocates of Interactive Media.
Hello, Senators. My name is Kyle Desjardins. I'm the President for Advocates for Interactive Media.
And we're here to talk about our plans for our upcoming trip to GDC. But first, I'd like to start off with what is FIA? Because not a lot of people have heard about us. We are the Florida Interactive Entertainment Academy. We're UCF's graduate program for game development. So rather than doing research, we spend a lot of time developing games. We are in the top 3. Oh, not yet. Sorry. We are in the top 3 game design programs in the United States, and our graduates have gone on to work on games like Fortnite and God of War and Uncharted and a lot of EA games. Moving on, what is GDC? Well, GDC is Game Developers Conference. It's the #1 conference in the world for game developers, in the name. But it's an annual event that focuses on the back-end development part of video games. Rather than selling games or playing them, our conference celebrates making them. This is the back-end side of it. It's a celebration of everything that we do as game developers. This will be in the Moscone Center in San Francisco from March 9 to 13 of 2026. And it's partnered with major game companies like Epic Games, Tencent, and Ubisoft. So why should we as FIA students be there? Well, for one, this is a prime opportunity for our students to get firsthand knowledge and information about working in the games industry. Despite how much money that it makes, the games industry is actually very, very small. And meeting veterans of the industry is very difficult, and it can have a lot of value. Right now, the games industry is kind of in a bit of a dip. So securing good connections through networking events that GDC will have and getting to meet other strong potential game developers is going to be very important for us. The other reason is that, like I said, we are in the top 3 game design programs of the United States, and we are the only ones without a very strong presence at GDC. But those other schools you see on that list all have booths, and they're trying to sell to other potential students. But honestly, that kind of works out in our favor. The biggest demographic that's going to be attending GDC after industry professionals are students, fresh graduates looking for their next step in their career. And honestly, people trying to sell them a program is not very effective. People like Kyle and I really got sold on something like FIA through word of mouth and through reputation. So us being there in the way that we're planning to be there, being at networking events and getting to meet people on the ground is a lot more effective at getting people to sign up for something like FIA. So that's why we should be there. But now we'll move on to a bit of what our plan is.
Thank you, Q. So our actual plan for getting our members to GDC is quite simple and straightforward. We're planning on flying with United Airlines the day before and the day after for a direct flight from MCO to San Francisco Airport. Move on. Thank you. We plan on staying in the BEI Hotel. This is about 20 minutes from walking distance from the Moscone Center and 10 minutes by car. This is in a relatively safe area, San Francisco, and also not entirely expensive. For attending GDC, we want to represent UCF and FIA in our RSO. And like he was describing, securing connections with different industry professionals and other companies that will be there, and being able to put our students first and foremost in one of the biggest conferences, the biggest conference that our industry sees year after year. So what are we asking for? We are asking for you guys, UCF, to help fund our travel and board, and we can move on to the cost breakdown. The way that we were determining how people can attend, we have 52 attendees. We collected their registration receipts, where if they paid for the registration, show us the receipt. This is an example of it with personal information blocked out. If this was provided to us, they were signed up to receive money that we would, half the cost that they would put out and half the cost that we are asking for to be paid for. Now, for actual cost breakdown, we are not asking for a registration. So I would direct your attention to flights and hotel, where we have 52 attendees. So coming at, for what we see, $437 a person. This is for a all-around trip. Comes out to $22,724. For, again, 52 attendees, four people per room, comes out to around 14 rooms for 6 nights. Comes out to around $21,756, to a total cost of $44,480. We are asking for $21,803, which is listed on the bill that we have. Any funds that are not used at all will be returned. And thank you for your time, and we are open to answering any questions.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Gaudio, Senator Leone, and then Senator Casimiro.
2, if I may.
You may.
So my head's spinning a little bit. So I'm trying to. So on your slides, you said you had 44 people with academic passes, but you're requesting flights for 52 attendees. So could you explain why you have 44 people who are confirmed going, asking for money for 52, how you know you're going to get to that 52, and these are all students that you're sending, right?
Fantastic question. So this presentation must have been downloaded before that was amended. That is an error. Please disregard the 44. All 52 are confirmed going. There is no discrepancy between the 44 and the 52.
All right. Do you still have your second question?
I do. How are you funding your half of this event?
So for now, our half will be funded individually between each person. That is mostly the plan that we're going with. If that is unable to happen, which we're not expecting to, we have backup plans of using our connections to different game studios such as Iron Galaxy and EA for potential sponsorships and partnership and covering some of that cost.
All right. Next, I said Senator Leone.
May I ask how you chose your students to go?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find you. Where are you?
Here, green.
Thank you. Got it. Wait, can you restate your question?
Yes, so 52 is quite a lot of students. Are they all in your RSO, and how did they choose those specific people to go?
Yes, so that is correct. They are a part of the RSO. The way I determine that amount is I gave them a date and I showed them the cost for the ticket. And I said, if you purchase your own registration, that is confirmation that you're willing to go on this trip and that they were assigned to our travel roster from that point. Then once that date was cut off, that's the amount of people that gave me the information. So that's the amount of people that we determined to go on the trip.
Senator Casimiro.
Can you confirm your hotel cost per night again?
I don't remember the top of my head. Can we go back?
Yes. Ooh.
So individually, it's going to be around $259 per room for 6 nights for 14 rooms. This was the quote we were given originally. For now, as we are waiting to be able to actually secure these rooms, this cost may have gone up, but that will not affect the actual allocation that we're requesting for.
All right, Senator Lipner.
This is a question for anyone in the pro temp's office. I know that D-Leg Kaufman had made an amendment to that lodging costs from the original amount that was on the PowerPoint. Are you aware of why that was made and why that number was chosen?
I would have to look through our email correspondence, but usually if he changes it, it's due to the RSO requesting that.
All right. Chair Rose, Chair Gaudio, and then Senator Leone.
Do you have backup members if someone has to drop out, seeing as 52 people are going and you have 53 active members?
Yes.
Chair Gaudio?
So, as was previously mentioned, you apparently have 53 active members and you're sending 52 of them. So, can you, I guess, kind of explain to me and justify sending your entire RSO? Because I'm not familiar with how you function. So, I'd like to hear about that.
So our RSO is a splintering off of our actual FIA cohort. Our FIA cohort is 90 strong, and many of those individuals are unaware of the Night Connect actual rostering. So the way I was determining that is if you were on it and you paid, good. If you paid and you were not on it, get on it, then you're good. So the RSO's roster does not accommodate for the entire academic program. So in actuality, while our RSO represents us as a cohort, it's representing 90 people, even if listed on there, it says 53.
Senator Leon?
A part two to my earlier question. Is each of your 52 members of your RSO presenting an individual project? Are there group projects?
Individually, no. We do plan on presenting different capstone projects that in teams, showing them to industry professionals and trying to get networking opportunities that way. Many of our members are part of large teams. I can attest to that because both Q and I are project leads on 18-person development teams developing our capstones that will be presented to the wider world in the spring. By this time at this conference, we will have our vertical slices of those projects, essentially a early prototype of those that we'll be able to show to different industry professionals. While this is not at a conference level, we're not getting an actual room to do so. It will happen on an individual level in different mixers and connection opportunities. Did you have a point you want to make, Q?
Yes. Just to clarify, capstone would be our thesis sort of assignment. This is a game that we get for about 9 months, and we spend a lot of time developing and polishing this up. Vertical slice is essentially about 2 to 3 minutes of completely finished and polished gameplay that we show off for demo purposes. So like Kyle was saying, we'd be going up in mixers and in demo spaces and showing off what we've got as a school. Yeah.
Senator Lippner?
Yeah, and I just want to confirm that while this RSO is tailored toward FIA students, anyone from USCF could theoretically go to this trip and join your RSO, correct?
Correct.
All right, any other questions for the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this bill? Senator Lippner?
Motion to see my amendments.
There's been a motion to see Senator Lippner's amendment.
Second.
And a second. Any objections? Seeing none, are you seeing all of these as a block?
Yes, please.
Okay, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready. I will see the 52 as a technical.
This is just updating that 50 number to 52. As the RSO explained, that number was kind of changing until that deadline, and we got that deadline, and so 52 is the total number. So making sure that everything matches that number, and then also updating the active members to be accurate with Night Connect.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Hernandez?
Motion to approve this amendment.
There's been a motion to approve these amendments. Are there any objections?
I withdraw.
Okay, we are still in a period of debate on these questioning. Are there any other? Chair Lush?
Can you make sure the math is right for the total cost?
Can I see Chair Gaudio's amendments as a friendly?
Chair Gaudio, do you want him to see them as friendly? All right, yes.
Already, yeah. Just adding in that total cost. Good catch. Thank you.
Alrighty, we are still in a period of debate. Are there any other? Senator Chow?
Motion to approve these amendments by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve these amendments. Are there any objections? Seeing none, these amendments are approved. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lippner.
Yeah, FIA is a wonderful organization. I've had many friends go through it and get amazing jobs either at EA or other strong game development companies. GDC is a great event also, and I'm very much so urging you all to let them go. I think it's invaluable, as I said, to make connections within that field, to get job placements outside of college or grad school, and so I'll be voting in favor.
Pro Tempore Meade?
Motion to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Pro Tem Hamid's amendment and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
I was just fixing the math. It was the cents were wrong.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Gaudio?
I move to approve these amendments.
There's been a motion to approve these amendments by general consent. Are there any objections?
I object.
Do you withdraw? Okay, Chair Chow?
Just wanted to note we would have to adjust, or may I direct a question to anyone who is able to answer it? We would have to adjust the total advocates for interactive media contribution, correct?
No, because that is the funding cap.
I apologize.
All right, any other pieces of debate? Chair Gaudio?
I move to approve this amendment.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Oh, okay, Chair Hernandez.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures on Fiscal Bill 5741. Okay, with a vote count of 40 to 1 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5741 passes second reading. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you all for your time.
Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5742, funding for 9 members of the International Medical Outreach to travel to the Brazil surface trip in São José dos Campos, Brazil, from May 10th to May 20th, 2026. Senator Green, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I will yield to the RSO.
Okay, to the RSO, you may come to the podium whenever you're ready.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, Senate Committee. My name is Naika Demorne. I'm an undergraduate health science student here at UCF, and I serve as the Sergeant of Arms of International Medical Outreach. Tonight, I have with me our Vice President, Jeff.
How you guys doing, y'all? I'm just here for like moral support.
So today we're here to request funding for our trip to Brazil that's occurring from May 10th to May 20th, summer 2026, to São José dos Campos, Brazil. So a little bit about International Medical Outreach. We did have a CRT meeting a couple weeks ago, so some of you might know and some of you might not. So International Medical Outreach is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2006, initially to help support Haiti. But over the years, we've expanded and we serve and travel to 8+ countries. Our GBMs consist of educating our members to be more culturally sensitive and aware before we travel these countries, and understanding what, medical ethics is, and, what it means to be a pre-med traveling to these countries and how to be respectful. For our past couple of trips, our goals for our members that are attending these trips have always to be to foster cultural awareness, sensitivity, as well as altruism, so they can take this to their future careers, and not just that, but to take it back to UCF, being that multiculturalism is something that we value here as well. So those initiatives are the same for our Brazil trip. We've been to Brazil in the past. So in this slide, our members are going to be split into different groups to have different shadowing opportunities during various specialties. Our members also be volunteering with organizations. The organization name specifically is going to be in a rural area of Brazil. The organization is called, yes. You said it. Yes. And we'll be working in an underserved community that's aims to support, kids. We actually just had a GBM where we had a donation drive, and, members are going to be assisting and, with that donation drive when we get there. So to get into the actual benefits of the trip, like I mentioned before, our goals is just to support, underserved communities and to gain unique shadowing, and volunteering experiences for our members, while instilling a sense of service, altruism, and multiculturalism. And being that, our organization focuses on, pre-health professionals that have a focus in global health, we also aim to provide our members the insight of what a healthcare system is outside of the United States. Funding received towards this trip would be CSCs and OSCs, so that's how we would contribute to our other, half. that would not be provided by the CRT committee. So CSC and OSCs, if you guys are not familiar with it, we work the football games that UCF has. So last Space U game, our members were there, and that's how we get money. We get paid for that. And then our members also pay a trip fee of $1,000. All right, so break down the funding a little bit. So we're requesting funding for registration, lodging, and travel for 9 people. To start off with registration, it's going to be $80.90 per member. We only put 8 people because one of our leaders for the trip is actually from Brazil, was born there, so she does not need a visa. So we're requesting for 8 people for the registration. And then for lodging, the hotel name is Mercury São José dos Campos, and the price per room per night is $113.92. We're going to be there for 9 nights, and 6 rooms are needed, so that brings the total to $6,151.83. And then for flights, this presentation was supposed to be amended. We sent a new one earlier today. So the charter bus is not included, and that was amended when we had our CRT committee. So the only travel we would be asking for is for flights, which is $133 per member, and that'd be for 9 members with a total of $7,497. So the total for the entire trip would come down to $14,295.88, and we'd be requesting $6,125, less than half. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Obrigado.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. I'll go Chair Lush, Senator Rickett, and then Senator Lipner.
Can I direct a question to the CRT chair?
You may.
Is there a reason why the RSO is requesting less than half?
They would hit their cap if they requested the full amount. There's a separate bill.
Senator Rickett,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 2 questions, if I may.
you may.
To the RSO, how many other people, besides that one individual that's a Brazilian citizen, have actually been to Brazil?
So one of our other leaders, like I mentioned in the past, we've done a Brazil trip. So she's going to be leading the trip again. So she's been to Brazil, and in our organization, we have a lot of native Brazilians that we expect to, apply to go into the trip. So
Follow on, Madam Speaker.
You may.
Okay, my second question is, I'm looking at the travel advisory for the U.S. Department of State, and it says level 2 exercise increased caution, and I know you guys are going to a very rural area of Brazil. Do you foresee any other security threats or any other dangers on your trip there?
no, not at this time. Like I mentioned, our GBMs, we aim to educate our members about what's going on in the countries, whether that's health, whether that's, the dangers of, the areas that we're going to be in. So we have workshops to specifically help with that. And we also have trip packets that we give to, the members as well as, their families, where it has the numbers of embassies, location of embassies, and any other thing that they might need. So I feel like for safety, we've never had a safety issue in the 8 countries in the 10 years that we've had as an organization. So we don't expect anything now, but we are prepared if it were to happen.
Senator Lipner,
2, if I may.
you may.
Alrighty, first off, is there any registration fee for the actual shadowing program?
No, there is not.
And then second question to the CRT chair, if I may.
You may.
Are you familiar with why we're considering visas as part of the registration cost?
I am not. That's not something that I've spoken to D-Light Cop about, but I'll look at that right now.
And then Chair Lush, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, to the CRT chair, if I may.
You may.
The funding cap minus what they've already received is $7,117.26. Is there a reason why it was 6,000 instead?
They're requesting a second fiscal bill to Puerto Rico, and this is how they indicated they wanted the funding to be split: 6,000 on this one, about 900 for the other.
All right, any other questions to the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Green.
So I'll be speaking in favor of this bill. This RSO does incredible work, not only in the United States, but also in the Caribbean and South America and India. So for that reason, I think it would be an incredible disservice to not approve this bill. So for that reason, I'll be voting in favor.
Chair Gaudio.
I move to see my amendment.
Second. There's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's amendments in a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
This is just updating their contribution amount to match the Senate contribution because they do not have a sanction against them. And so this is how it's being split up. I yield my time.
All right, Senator Casimiro.
They're not sanctioned. So that's the reason why it's 8,000 because they're gonna hit their cap. So they're not sanctioned. So we're only able to contribute
I
6,125.
raise a point of order. That's not a question.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, I thought you were getting to a question. Okay, we're still in a period of questioning. Chair Lipner.
To anyone who can answer, isn't this what the bill originally read as, or am I crazy?
I believe it was what the bill originally read as. Was it? Okay. Any other questions? Chair Lipner.
Motion to approve this amendment.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, this amendment is approved. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Senator Lipner.
Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant about the registration being visas, but regardless, we're not paying for it because it's below the cap. So I'll be voting in favor for this awesome trip, and I urge you to do the same. May I move to vote?
You may
Or
not. There is an amendment. Chair
Let's go.
Sherman.
Motion to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Chair Sherman's amendment in a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
This takes off the registration just because we are not paying for it to avoid any sort of uncertainty. I think it's best just to leave it off. I yield my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions or a motion to approve by general consent?
I object. Okay, thank you. Because these numbers did not add up, but someone's amending it right now.
We're in a period of questioning. Do you have a question?
I do not.
Okay, are there any questions or a motion to approve by general consent? Chair Lush? D.C. Campaigns.
Motion to approve.
There's been a motion to approve.
I
this.
object.
Okay, we are still in a period of questioning. Chair Gaudio.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. And is there a second? Any objections? Hearing none, we are now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio.
I move to see the amendments by myself and Chair Lush.
Okay, there's been a motion to see the 2 amendments added as a friendly to the first one. Was that your intention to see them as a friendly to the First Amendment? This is a question to you. Yes. And you agree with that? Okay. These 3 are being seen as a block. We are still in a period of debate. Senator Lipner.
Motion to approve these amendments by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve these amendments by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, these amendments are approved by general consent. We are still in a period of debate on the bills as a whole, on the bill as a whole. Senator Lipner. There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections?
I object.
Do you withdraw?
Yeah.
Okay, we are still in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate?
Thank you. What?
We're still in a period of debate. You just objected. You didn't raise your hand to speak in debate on the bill. You may speak.
Thank you. Once again, there appears to be a discrepancy between the Senate contribution, the IMO contribution, and the total cost. I raised that issue earlier and it wasn't corrected. May I please have time to correct it?
Chair Lush?
Can I answer
You may.
the reason why it's $6,125 is because they are requesting more money in the future, and they have to be the same number because they are not sanctioned. So even though the total cost of the trip is higher than the IMO contribution and Senate contribution, that is still okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right, we're still in a period of debate on the bills as a whole. Chair Hernandez?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote in a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 40 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5742 passes second reading. Thank you.
Thank you.
next we have Fiscal Bill 5743, funding for 12 members of International Medical Outreach to travel to Puerto Rico service trip in San Juan, Puerto Rico from March 15th, 2026 to March 22nd, 2026. Senator Green, you have 5 minutes.
I yield to the RSO.
All right, you're already up here. I'm going to pull up the presentation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, and as I mentioned, IMO has done various trips in the past, and Puerto Rico is one of those trips. So we're here again to request funding for our Puerto Rico trip that's going to be occurring during the spring break from March 15th to March 22nd. So what our members are doing is very similar to what I've explained before, but our Puerto Rico trip is very unique in the aspect that they really focus on volunteering. So we volunteer in various places around the island, including Ronald McDonald House, Fondita de Jesus, United Way, and San Jorge Hospital. And members also get the opportunity to shadow at San Jorge Hospital, but this trip is more focused on service work and volunteering. So for the benefits of this trip, like I've mentioned in the past for most of our trips, the IMO Puerto Rico trip provides students with a meaningful opportunity to serve diverse communities through volunteer work, specifically at Ronald McDonald House, La Fondita de Jesus, and United Way. And they support families of hospitalized children, individuals experiencing homelessness, underserved populations, and students get to, develop empathy, teamwork, and cultural awareness that'd be essential, in their future in healthcare. So for funding, it's the same as for Brazil. The funding that we'd receive on this trip would be from OSC and CSC events, where again, our members work these events and we get paid as an organization, and that goes towards our trip. And the trip payments for this trip would be $700. And then for the cost breakdown, for this one, this presentation also wasn't updated, so the charter bus was amended when we had the CRT committee, but we are requesting lodging for 12 people. Travel would be $643 per person, and that's flights going from MCO to San Juan. And then we are requesting for lodging. The hotel name is Hotel San Jorge, and it's $221.44 per night for 7 nights and 2 rooms. So the total comes down to $10,816.14, and we are requesting $992.22. And although this is way less than half, but that's because we reached our cap for the year. Thank you.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions to the RSO? Senator Lipner?
I forgot to ask for the last trip, but for this trip, do you have a day-by-day itinerary?
Yes, we do.
All right, are there any other questions to the RSO? You may ask your follow-up.
What is it?
Yeah, so for this trip, this is something that, we're still working on it, but tentative itineraries, we would get to San Juan. The first day would be a travel day, so they, rest. Let's say we get there on Sunday. Monday, they would do volunteering either at Fondita de Jesus, and the next day they would go to United Way and go to the different organizations that we're working with. They'd probably have one day at the hospital and then one day for a cultural immersion, and then we would go back home to reach back before school starts again after spring break.
All right, are there any other questions to the RSO about this bill? Senator Lipner?
And you mentioned that they might be traveling around the island. Are all of these locations within San Juan or near the area?
It's near the area. So like I said, we've been on this trip multiple times. And when we are traveling around the islands, most of the organizations that we're working with in the hospital are 10-minute walking distances from the hotel to the hospital, from the hospital to different areas.
Are there any other questions to the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Lipner?
Yeah, this is another great trip. I urge you all, if you haven't already, to look at IMO's website. They have a really great list of all the past events that they've done, and it shows all the great work that they do. I'll be voting in favor, and I urge you to do the same. Move to vote.
There's amendments on the bill. So
Oh, I
will
would
not be moving to vote. Chair Rose?
Motion to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Chair Rose's amendments, and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, it's just changing their contribution to match the Senate contribution because, again, they are not sanctioned, same as the previous one.
Chair Lush?
Motion to approve this amendment.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, these amendments are approved. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Gaudio?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. And a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 40 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5713 passes second reading. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Internal committee reports, ENA Committee Chair Chow.
Good evening, Senate. We did not see any confirmations, and we were unable to work on our Title VI rehaul, sadly, because we did see 7 internal bills in our committee. Internal Bill 5717 passed 8-0 to 0. Internal Bill 5722, 23, 24, 25, 26 were seen as a block and passed 8-0 to 0. Internal Bill 5729 denied 5 to 1. For the spring semester, the ENA committee will be meeting every Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., so just keep that in mind. We do have open seats. Please join our committee, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Any questions for the ENA Committee Chair? Seeing none, GAP Committee Chair Barilla.
Hey y'all. GAP is proceeding smoothly. We are up to over 50 bills briefed, which is pretty exciting. There have been a bit over 500 bills filed in the legislature, so that just goes to show how much work we've been putting in. Just some minor announcements. We'll be helping the GAC with her preparations for creating the prep sessions for Day of the Capitol. We will also, again, remind her, be meeting over the winter in an unofficial capacity just to stay on top of Day of the Capitol prep. And then finally, due to some of the shakeups in the comms department, we will be postponing the GAP newsletter to at least after Thanksgiving break.
Any questions for the GAP Committee Chair, Chair Gaudio?
So per the Senate rules, you guys must have introduced the resolutions to establish our legislative priorities. I believe that our date, the Capitol date, is the January 27th, right? Yes. Okay. Will the committee have these done in time to be introduced and seen and given the due diligence?
Yeah, definitely introduced. I think GAP's number one priority is making sure we have the very best, most up-to-date priorities that we can. Obviously, I'm sure you know, with the fast-moving nature of politics, we don't want to introduce a bill and to support a bill and it dies, a day later, and we could have delayed it later, you know what I mean. So it's just very difficult to we want to introduce at the last possible second so we can have all the time we need to make sure that all the bills we're taking are actually we can have impact on. They're not bills that have already died in committee. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that we will be able to get all that legislation on the floor in time. Hence why we were meeting over the winter break, just to make sure that we are put ourselves in the best position to move fast and to immediately once the session starts to push that through in a way that the Senate finds acceptable.
Chair Gaudio?
May I direct a question to you, Madam Chair?
You may.
When is our first meeting of the spring semester?
Our first meeting of the spring semester, if I am not wrong, we start back the week of the 6th, the 12th. So our first Senate meeting shall be on the 15th of January. Any other questions, Chair Gaudio?
So if our first meeting of the spring semester is on the 15th, then 15 days from that would be the 30th, which is after the 27th. So I guess I'm inquiring more as to how we plan to have those introduced by the deadline.
Yeah, that first meeting, GAP is going to be meeting that Thursday at 5. So that first meeting, we will be introducing the plan is to adopt those resolutions in GAP committee as is normally traditionally done, and hopefully pass that during Senate that night. I know it is kind of rushing the legislative process, but I do believe that is necessary to create the best product for Day of the Capitol. Because again, I want to leave this at the last possible second, because if we don't, then we risk the pitfall of bringing bills to the legislature that are no longer relevant, which risks embarrassing both GAP and the university to the Tallahassee.
Thank you.
Senator Lipner?
Just a point of information about what's going on currently, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. I'm not certain whether there is a specific requirement for the senatorial body to pass a resolution or other kind of bill in regards to the advocacy agenda. It just has to be, quote, created. So it doesn't necessarily have to go through the Senate body to be created.
All right, just save this conversation for yourselves. Any other questions for the GAP committee chair? Seeing none, LJR committee chair Gaudio.
That's me. Good evening, Senate. No particular news from the committee this week. The votes are listed down below. Internal Bill 5721 was approved 8-0 to 0. Internal Bill 5727 was approved 5-2 to 1. Internal Bill 5728 was approved 7-0 to 0. You may look through the absences. Dean meeting absences for Peter Acosta and Julia Zivin were approved. A blanket excuse was granted for Hiba El Haq for final roll call for the fall and spring. Guys, please submit your absence requests through the Night Connect form. If you're unable to do so, please let Mr. Juntman know as soon as possible. If it doesn't get to you within a few days, reach out to him again. He has a lot on his plate and things slip his mind sometimes. Makes it much easier on my end to keep track of absences submitted through the form and greatly reduces the chance of a clerical error. Thank you. As a reminder, we will be meeting Mondays at 4 p.m. during the spring semester.
Any questions for the LGR chair? Seeing none, SBA committee chair Teodorescu.
Hi, Senate. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. SBA did not meet last week due to the space game. The meeting time for the spring will be Mondays at 1. Also, we are tabling at the downtown campus next Tuesday from 11 to 4. So if anyone is interested in helping, please fill out the when to meet that the ICTC chair put in his announcement.
Any questions for the SBA committee chair? Seeing none, notice of legislation, internal legislation, notice of legislation on third reading. We'll just carry the 5-10-10. Internal Bill 5719, updates to Title 8 hotel reimbursement requirement. Chair Sherman, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no changes to this bill. Just requires that if an RSO or individual is able to pay their lodging expenses up front, that they do so, because it makes it far easier for the business office and makes sure that there's no chance that they're not able to get into their hotel room, which we hope would not happen. So I yield my time.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Hernandez?
I move to approve this.
There's been a motion to approve this bill by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, Internal Bill 5719 passes third reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5720, updates to Title 8 conference definitions. Chair Sherman, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Same thing, no changes, just requires that Senate bills also be held to one of the 6 conference types, the same as allocations. Also slightly restricts the definition of a conference and carves out exceptions when necessary. I yield my time.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this bill? Pro Tem Hamid?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 37 to 3-0, Internal Bill 5720 passes third reading. Notice of legislation on second reading. Is there a motion? Chair Chow, 5717.
Motion to postpone Internal Bill 5717 until next Senate meeting.
There's been a motion to postpone Internal Bill 5717 until next Senate meeting.
Second.
In a second, any objections? Hearing none, this bill will be postponed until next Senate meeting. Chair Gaudio?
I'd like to move for Internal Bill 5729 to be placed on second reading.
There's been a motion for internal bill? Internal Bill 5729 to be placed on second reading. And a second, that has to be a majority vote. Simple majority vote, please. With a vote count of 28 to 8 to 2, this bill will be placed on second reading alongside the other bills. Internal Bill 5721 updates to Title 12 requiring fully public meetings across SG. Vice Chair Wanjin is not here, so Chair Gaudio, are you taking that, or is there a motion?
Which internal bill? You said
5721.
I move.
Chair Gaudio?
I move to table Internal Bill 5721.
There's been a motion to table Internal Bill 5721. And a second, any objections? Hearing none. Next, we have Internal Bill 5722, updates to Title VI, format rehaul. Chair Chow, you have 5 minutes.
Motion to see Internal Bill 5722, 23, 24, 25, 26 as a block.
There's been a motion to see if just Internal Bills 5722 through 26 as a block. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, just to note specifically why these internal bills are separated, it's simply to make it more readable and organized for legislative overview. So in terms of internal bills 57 to 26 or 22 to 26, they focus on rehauling the format of Title VI, and this was one of the initiatives that we had as the E&A committee, which was implementing subtitles to make Title VI more accessible, and then not only that, but readable for candidates, students, and also senators. Considering that the statute or the title is 27 pages and consists of 13 separate chapters of extensive content, separating the statute into subtitles will make it easier to navigate through. Not only that, but the E&A committee kind of wanted to mimic the format of Title VIII, the Finance Code. So we decided to separate the statute into Chapter 601 or 600, 601, and 4 separate statutes. The 4 subtitles are Appendix or Subtitle A, Campaigns and Candidacy, Subtitle B, Election Procedures, Subtitle C, Election Violations, Subtitle D, the Election Commission. The subtitles themselves, or those specific internal bills, do not contain any changes in language. They're only reordering of the chapters. The reason why we had to go ahead and strike out all that content is because we're putting them under subtitles, and in order to do so, once again, we'd have to strike out those chapters, put them under that, and then also reorder the chapter numbers. So for Chapter 600, I'm just going to go chapter by chapter. Chapter 600 definitions, there's no changes at all for this chapter. That's why it's not in the legislation. Chapter 601, it's going to be renamed into the scope of the Election Commission and election statutes instead of having it as Chapter 613. So there is content change for this specific chapter. Chapter 613 revising the election statutes, basically adds additional content, specifically the scope of the Election Commission. This would reduce the amount of readers being confused when reading the statutes, because at this point of the statute, or Chapter 601, the Election Commission hasn't been established. So in order to negotiate with the Election Commission and to have them established, we put them as Chapter 601 and outline them. Not only that, but we also, once again, combine and outline the election statutes, kind of similar to Title VIII, to note what the statutes will consist of, and we retain how the election statutes adjustments will be enacted after the beginning of the declaration of candidacy period, and how that will not affect the election if there's any amendments. For Subtitle A, Campaigns and Candidacy, it's now Chapter 602, Candidates, instead of Chapter 603. Chapter 603, Campaign Expense and Physical Assistance Reporting, instead of Chapter 605, labeled Subtitle A as Candidacy or Campaigns and Candidacy. So there's a section where candidates can easily access information pertaining to how they will qualify as a candidate, and not only that, but the amount of money that they can utilize and report to the Election Commission for their candidacy. Subtitle B, Election Procedures. It will contain Chapter 604, Election Procedures, still Chapter 604. We just need to strike it and put it under the subtitle, which is why it was striked, and then re-added. Chapter 605, Election Funding, instead of Chapter 602. Chapter 606, Recall, instead of Chapter 609. Chapter 607, Referendum Election, instead of Chapter 610. Labeled it as Subtitle B as Election Procedures because it will contain how the elections will operate, general election procedures, how elections are funded, how students can remove an elected official through office, through specifically the recall process, and how to start a referendum election. Subtitle C, Election Violations. It contains Chapter 608, Violations, instead of it being labeled as Chapter 606. It also does have like a little bit of amendment in 608.14 has 606.14 instead. I'm going to quickly make an amendment to change that number and have it seen as a technical. Chapter 609, Contest of Election, instead of Chapter 607. Chapter 610, Swearing In, instead of Chapter 611. Chapter 611, Appeals, instead of Chapter 608. Labeled it as Subtitle C as Election Violations to properly encapsulate all violations that occur for an election, consists of violations for candidates, how an election can be contested for specific grounds and how that would operate, how a student cannot be sworn in if the election is being contested, and the appeal process for violations. Subtitle D, the Election Commission. Chapter 612, the Election Commission, instead of Chapter 601, and then Chapter 613, Forms, instead of Chapter 612. Labeled it as Subtitle D as the Election Commission because it consists of information pertaining to the scope and duties of the Election Commission and how the forms for the election will be created by the Election Commission and be in compliance of Title VI before the declaration of candidacy period. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Senator Rickett,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 2 questions, if I may.
you may.
My first question is the primary, I guess did you all just in the EA committee pretty much just reformat the election statutes?
Yes, we basically put them under subtitles, 4 separate subtitles to increase the accessibility of the document.
And your second question?
My second question is, are there going to be any further changes to the election statutes?
Yes, Internal Bill 5717, which is why we postponed it, and I'll make amendments to that bill.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Senator Escobar?
Were the amendments changing appendix to subtitle approved in committee?
They were approved in committee. It just hasn't been approved yet, but it should say subtitle A, and there shouldn't be amendments on them.
All right, Chair Rose?
Do you have the vote counts? Because I don't see them on the top of the bills.
Do apologize. So it should be 8-0 for each one.
You guys saw them as a block in the ENA committee?
Yes.
And it was 8-0. Okay, yes. We will fix that. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my amendment on 5722.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's amendments on 5722. Is there a second? Any objections? Seeing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so unlike the other 4 internal bills we're seeing in this block, this one, to me at least, does not feel like a rehaul and is actually an addition. And so I wanted to change the title to effectively match that change. And so to me, this bill is outlining the Election Commission scope, something which you already understand, but just making sure that in statutes we have that outlined. And so that is what the title is now going to read if we approve this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Chow?
May I retain?
You may.
Sounds great. Let's vote.
There's been a motion to vote. Second. In a second, any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on the amendment. 5722. With a vote count of 40-0, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the bill block as a whole. Deezer Capinos?
Motion to see my amendment on Internal Bill 5725 of changing Chapter 606.14 to 608.14 as technical.
It will be seen as a technical. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? The bills as a whole. Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 40-0, Internal Bills 5722 through 26 pass second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5727, updates to Title 14, refining caucus definitions, membership, and scope. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. So this is a pretty simple updated Title 14, which is specifically regarding to caucuses. Currently, as titles are read, caucuses must relate to a unique group of students. And I personally believe that that expectation of uniqueness is impossible to meet when any group is held up to scrutiny. And I don't want any group to feel like they have to be held up to scrutiny in order to pass the bar to become a caucus. And so this change allows it to result in a focus on student communities being present on campus and ensuring that the caucuses still represent those communities of students. To me, it seems pretty simple, but I'm open to any questions.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing Dr. Caminos?
Do you believe that changing the way that this is outlined in statutes can change the way that caucuses are viewed as how they operate or as who they represent?
So I tried to be very careful about that specifically, and it's why I added lines 1401.2a1 and 2, which explains specifically that it's for distinct student populations who share circumstances meaningfully, and then they establish and uphold a mission, which is to advocate for the needs, concerns, and interests of a distinct student community, which I think is directly how caucuses are working currently. And so just wanted to ensure that that continues going forward.
All right, are there any other questions? If not, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate for this bill? Seeking none. Oh, Senator Smith, sorry.
I like the idea of this. I'm a little bit nervous about how we would almost like police this. I feel like it makes it really easy for a caucus to become a caucus, which I know is your intention, but I think it may take value away from the caucuses that already exist. So that's kind of my concern, but I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts.
All right, ELA Reed and then Chair Gaudio.
So, in my understanding of this piece of legislation, when reading this originally, it really felt like I was just reading what was already written, but with just a little bit more language attached to it. Meaning that I really feel like this piece of legislation doesn't change as much as we hope it would or what the intention is. I think caucuses are a great thing as is because they do represent unique groups of individuals. Keyword unique group of individuals. We're all unique in our own way, and that's what the caucuses highlight. I don't believe that we need to change anything how it is written as is. That's why I'll be voting no on this piece of legislation. Thank you.
Chair Gaudio.
I'm going to be very simple and straightforward. The Senate determines the need for a caucus. I don't mind expanding the language because if the need is there and we think that a caucus is warranted, a caucus should be formed. And the statutory language should sort of reflect what we look for in a caucus, yes, but at the same time, it's better to be a little more broad than a little more restrictive because we shouldn't be turning things away just based off statutory language. It should be like we legitimately do not believe it is necessary to form that caucus.
Senator Rickett.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be voting in favor of this bill. I don't believe this bill does anything substantively to any caucuses. I think it's just basically expanding the language and making sure we have open opportunity for all people just to be in any one of the caucuses like it already is now. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Chair Shaw.
I think I just have a general note. I don't really have an opinion right now, but in terms of how this bill kind of expands the definition of caucuses, I do think that this definition would allow more space for the sustainability caucus to stand, because with the current language that we have right now and how it notes specifically unique to the population of students and specific identities, with the current language that we have right now, that wouldn't really fit in, or I guess allow enough space for the sustainability caucus. So I think if we do allow this bill to pass, we at least give that expansion or that space.
All right. ELA Reed.
I think my whole thing is we voted in the Sustainability Caucus last session with the verbiage that is already there, and the Sustainability Caucus has already done great things as a caucus fully, not even an ad hoc, not a working group, anything. They are a full caucus. And so I guess I don't really understand the need for this piece of legislation, considering that we've had these situations in the past and they've passed like completely. It was almost an entire unanimous vote, yes, for Sustainability Caucus to be enacted. And so that's kind of where my hesitation for voting for this bill stands.
Okay, I believe that we all know how we are voting for this bill. Chair Hernandez.
UC has a diverse population of students. We all come from like different backgrounds. why make it easier for us to represent more people? If there's a need, create a caucus. Also, from last session, the resolution to make similarly a caucus failed the second reading, passed last reading.
Oh, there's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. With a vote count of 26 to 14 to 0, Internal Bill 5727 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5728, updates to Title IX, justifications of censure. Chair Gaudio, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
All righty. So this is really just kind of a statutory language change. In terms of actual procedure, it doesn't actually do anything, and I will elaborate on what I mean by that. So first, I'm going to outline the difference between notification of noncompliance and a notification of censure. When you issue a notification of noncompliance, that is you saying you are in noncompliance with the statutes, this is the statute you are violating, fix it. A recommendation of censure, on the other hand, is more broad. Theoretically, you can censure somebody for anything. 905.2 states that it is a written notification which shows condemnation or disapproval of the actions or inactions of an individual. Actions or inactions committed by an individual may include, but are not limited to, and it lists off sort of the bar for what someone should probably be censured for. And so but also you have to cite a specific statute when recommending a censure. So what this ends up doing is either it sort of gets bludgeoned into a pre-existing definition to try and get it through, or you just say 905.2 actions or inactions may include but are not limited to. And so all this change is doing is basically just saying you don't have to cite a specific statute, bill, or what have you that was violated. You can just recommend the censure because you have to have a description of events anyway. People know what they're being recommended for. And I did include a section that if a violation of a statute is being alleged, it is part of the allegation, you do have to put it in your description of events. So with that, I yield my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Senator Lipner?
Would you agree that the not limited to clauses of A, B, and C are just restating things that would be found in other parts of Senate rules or statutes?
So like repeated disruptive behavior, that's not explicitly prohibited anywhere in statutes. Of course, on our Senate rules, if someone's being disruptive to our meeting, we can throw them out. However, there's not a specific statute saying, don't be disruptive as a whole. That's just something we've laid out for our Senate meetings. So what's listed there is not necessarily reflected elsewhere in statutes.
Okay, any other questions for this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Lipner?
Yeah, so this 905.2 thing is kind of what happened during my censorship last session, where there was a not limited to that was kind of just referred to endlessly, in my opinion. And I think that this does a decent job at attempting to clear the gap, but I do have some hesitancy about that not limited to still being there and the ability for students to still refer to 905.2 on a open-ended basis. I'll be voting in favor of this. However, like I said, I would love to see those changes be made in the future.
All right, are there any other pieces of debate for this bill? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 38 to 1 to 0, Internal Bill 5728 passed the second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5729, updates to Title VI, reducing presidential campaign expense limits. Senator Gaudio, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So what this internal bill seeks to do is it seeks to update the maximum campaign contribution by presidential campaign tickets. Currently, that is $2,500. This bill would seek to change it to $1,500. Of course, if this body believes that number should be something else, we are free to change it. The primary purpose of this is to address inequality among students running for student body president, namely those who have less disposable income. We're students. We aren't exactly running around with full pockets. I chose this particular amount because seeing costs in the last election, which I have conveniently placed in the whereas clauses for your viewing, it seemed reasonable. There's not much other data to go off of, as the year prior in 2024 only had one ticket, and I couldn't find information on previous years, nor could the supervisor of elections when I asked initially. Regardless, I believe this amount is a reasonable amount to run an effective campaign. Now, E&A did bring some things up in debate that I found a little circular, so I will address them here. One was that tickets have not yet been held in violation for going over the funding cap. That is the point of a funding cap. They look at that and say, that's the amount I don't go over. Of course, people are not going to go over that amount. In addition, it was mentioned that students should be able to spend the money they would like, while at the same time also saying that the funding cap ensures fairness in the election. While students can fundraise off of other students, that is an extraordinarily difficult endeavor. I'm going to present a question. This is rhetorical. How many of you gave money to one of the presidential tickets last year? Now reflect that extrapolated onto the student body as a whole. So returning back to the original bill and addressing that sort of income inequality, every student should have an equal opportunity to run for student body president and run an effective campaign. Part of ensuring fairness and that equal opportunity is ensuring students with vastly greater disposable incomes don't have a significant advantage over those who do not. Last year clearly demonstrated $1,500 is enough to run an effective campaign based off of the performance of the Garrett and the Grouse campaigns. And however, aside from the Telos Terdos ticket, which if you remember that ticket, you would understand why they performed poorly, the placing of each ticket in the primary generally matched with how much money they spent. Foss got, I believe, around 11% of the vote. Garrett got around 18%. Grouse got around 21%. And Blanco, I believe, got around 43%. These numbers are off top of my head. They might be a bit off, but that's around where they were. Point is, making campaigns be more mindful with the amount of money they spend is important, and it's the best vehicle to ensure fairness in our elections, particularly among a demographic who does not have infinity money that they can fundraise like in a regular election.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Vice Chair Wanjin.
President voting.
Vice Chair Wanjin, President voting. So noted at 9:30 p.m. Pro Tem Hamid, Chair Varela, and then Senator Matthews.
May I ask two questions?
You may.
May my first one be directed to the E&A chair?
You may.
Can I ask why this bill was denied in committee?
Yeah, of course. So at least for me personally, I don't speak for my entire committee. However, basically, the first reason the Election Commission was not necessarily consulted by this entire matter, although we as senators are not obligated to consult with the Election Commission about election statute changes because once again, we do oversee them. I do, at least for me personally, find it a little bit concerning how there was no discussion at all. Not only that, but I do believe that I do not believe that decreasing the amount would necessarily facilitate equity for presidential tickets because once again, we can see with the clear example, Ticket Lester maxed the cap for the funding, yet he received the lowest amount of votes. So at least for funding, right, and utilizing your campaign expenses, I do not think that money is necessarily the thing that determines a vote. An effective outreach does, and we can see that with Senate campaigns, how there were numerous senators that actually outreach through social media and were able to get a seat on the Senate floor through social media only, and they didn't utilize any money. And then I would say the biggest reason why I personally denied it was, or voted against this bill, was because the intent to increase equity to run as a presidential ticket, and specifically for lower income students, does not necessarily have follow through, in my personal opinion. The bill only decreases the amount of money presidential tickets are able to utilize for their campaigns, but does not elevate lower income presidential tickets. So nonetheless, right, when it comes to lower income tickets trying to run for the presidential elections, right, they don't necessarily get a boost at all. So I just only see that, once again, we're just reducing the amount of money presidential tickets are able to utilize for their campaigns, but it doesn't, to me, that doesn't really change any results.
Your second question?
For the author, could you explain why you didn't discuss this change with the Election Commission?
I didn't see why it was necessary, because the Election Commission's role is to run the elections, and a change in the max amount of money that a presidential ticket can spend, that's not like a major procedural overhaul for the elections that forces them to change how they oversee it. It's just, instead of checking to make sure they're spending $2,500, they're checking to see if they're spending $1,500. So it just did not seem necessary.
Chair Barilla?
What led you to settle on the number 1,500 for the cap rather than any other number?
Based off of the amount that was spent in the previous elections, it seemed like a reasonable amount, because only 2 of the campaigns went above that, of which one was a complete statistical outlier. However, of course, this number is not immutable. If this body believes the number should be more, the number should be less, of course, it can be amended and changed.
Senator Matthews? Okay, any other questions about this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Matthews, Senator Lipner, and then D.C. Capinas.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to repeat a lot of the same things as Chair Chow said, but I just want to provide some insight in why I did not vote in favor of this bill in ENA. Again, I don't want to speak for our whole committee, as many of them have already raised their hand, but when drafting this bill, as Chair Gaudio mentioned, the Election Commission was not consulted, but this matter does directly affect the Election Commission. They are the ones that monitor the spending, as well as no ticket has ever gone over the spending cap. As you can see, these statistics are provided by Chair Gaudio in the bill. On the topic of the effect of these lower income students, this cap is not a minimum, it's a maximum. There are many ways for candidates to raise money if they deem necessary. There has been many successful campaigns utilizing purely social media, which is free. Many senators do this themselves. I did. As you can see from the statistics, it is not often that a ticket goes all the way to this maximum. These are their funds. They should be able to spend them how they want. And if they choose to spend it, they should not be limited. They were not in previous elections.
Okay, next I said Senator Lipner.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm actually going to be voting in favor of this for a few main reasons. First and foremost, I have hesitancy about the argument that just because they can spend the money doesn't mean that they have to. In a campaign where some candidate can spend $2,500 and the other candidate may be limited to $250, pardon. I think that there is a clear discrepancy in what they are able to do with that money and how they can reach students on campus, especially when looking at things like getting individuals to campaign for you or with you in that team, having things to incentivize those individuals to do so. I think that we have seen this happen in the past where having an on-campus presence is very, very valuable. And while obviously you can do this without money, having those funds is very valuable. And so having students, college students, generate $2,000 of their own money for any reason, I think is extremely difficult. And so to expect them to do it for an election is almost unfathomable. And so that for that reason, I'll be voting in favor of the 1,500.
D.C. Capinas.
When I saw this committee, I was a little bit more on the fence too. I do agree with the sentiments of what it's trying to do in terms of bring equality in lower income presidential tickets and their disposable income. However, I'm a little bit more concerned on the data that we do have. I asked this in committee, but we only have so much data about the expense reports. And seeing that in the last election, yes, there was only 2 tickets that went over
the 1,500 cap that's being proposed. I don't think that it's enough data to constitute such big of a change. And also, I don't fully see and recognize the difference between 1,500 and the example provided of, let's say, someone has a disposable income of $250 versus someone using $1,500. I still think that that is a large discrepancy in and of itself, and a large gap in between. Seeing the difference between what is that of someone raising $750 and someone raising $2,500. So I'm a little bit more on the fence of this. I voted in negation within committee. I still think I'm going to vote in negation now. Just because the main reason is that I think that if we had more data to back this up about the number that Chair Gaudio settled on, then I would be more inclined to vote in favor.
Chair Verla.
Yeah, I'm also pretty on the fence for basically the exact same reason that D.C. Capino said. I think that, if we had, say, 3 years of the same sort of trend where you have certain candidates spending over the 1,500 and they always win. And I think what Chair Gaudio brought up about how like removing teller on the tellers and terrors, how you pronounce a ticket, because of we all know why they might not been part of this trend. The results of the election are stacked exactly most to least expenditures from first to last place. I think that's pretty compelling to say that there is some sort of power in spending on that money. I think it would be a good change to bring it down. But I still do have a hard time going off this one election, making that change. But I also did want to express a little bit of skepticism that this wouldn't help at all in terms of the election inequity. Like what I think of is like the salary cap in sports. Like there's a reason why we have salary caps in sports for equity, right? And preventing people from spending so much makes everyone, I guess, more equal. And you can say, oh, this does harm people who have more well-organized campaigns and people who have more fundraising. And that could be a fair criticism, but I do, the argument that this doesn't do anything to increase equity, I just think is incorrect, because we've seen it in other industries and standards across society that when you have a cap for something, that does make anyone who can't even reach that cap more equitable, because it makes sure that people who can even go above that cap can't outspend them by as much as they could have.
All right, Senator Escobar and then Senator McNulty.
When it comes to members bringing up the election commission when discussing this, I will say that us as legislators, we legislate and they enact whatever we legislate, as they are like an administrative body. They do some forms of legislating with their ERP and some forms of like judicial stuff with their hearings. But when it comes to like legislation and the election statutes, that falls under directly us. But yeah, I was on a little bit on the fence just because of, the exact number. I'm in favor of increasing equity for those who, again, do not have disposable income. But I think reducing the amount would kind of address the issue. I'm also amenable to like a compromise between the two numbers, but I'll be voting in favor.
All right, Senator McNulty.
Kind of to chime in on what he said, everyone has very valid points. I know I voted in favor at the ENA meeting for this. It does bring equality in the sense of people, the way they make money, but it seems like everyone's really much on the fence with this. And I get it. We don't have a lot of data. We only have 1 year worth of really data of how much each candidate really spent. I would say that really to find more of a compromise where, yes, increase equity and kind of wait to see what these next recent years, the more the data as we track the candidates, how much they spend to get a more accurate number. So I might recommend that instead of decreasing that cap from 2,500 to 1,500, which is like 1,000, instead to make it decrease by 500, maybe as just as a suggestion to make the cap 2,000 instead of 2,500 to maybe become more of a compromise to that.
Troy Hernandez.
I just would like to say the funding cap exists because the amount of votes to win a same party president election is not a lot compared to the actual student population. I believe last year from the runoff it was like around 5,000 people, and for information, CCS is around 13,000 people, and I won my seat with 402 votes. And I did not campaign, and Whole reason being is that I'm very active within my CCS community. So a lot of my friends knew who I was and told their friends to vote for me. As you can see, there's a big discrepancy from 402 people and 6,000 people. And so then that's why you do have to put money into campaigning and these kind of merchandise to get your name out there, this to tell people you exist. And so also because big student, we're very affordable as a university. And so I believe anyone who wants to run for student body president should do it. They don't have to be part of student government previously. They don't even be from a high income bracket. If they want to make change, they should be able to go for it. And I believe this does even out the playing field, so people don't outspend them because they have the resources to do it. So,
All right, there is about a minute left in debating time. Chair Gaudio.
How long in debate time?
There is a minute and 20 seconds.
Alrighty. So I would like to address some issues which have been brought up on the floor. So with regards to students just being free to spend as much money as they desire, I ask at that point, why have a fiscal cap at all? Why not just remove the fiscal cap? Alternatively, if senators can campaign so effectively with no money, why not prohibit the spending of money on a presidential ticket? Would that not bring absolute equity? I find it to be circular reasoning because if one of those two options is not the proposed, one of the proposed solutions to that line of thinking. In addition, with regards to lifting students up, that would require a provision in the ANS bill. If we want that, it can be brought to the Election Commission with their budget packet and the ANS committee. I am actually a proponent of that, but that is an entire can of worms that I doubt we'll be able to solve by the ANS committee this year. But we do have to start somewhere, and this is that start. Also, if you don't find 1,500 to be an acceptable amount, just amend the number. Anyways, I would like to move to extend debate by 3 minutes.
There's been a motion to extend debate by 3 minutes. And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you guys have 3 minutes left. DC Capinos, Chair Chow.
Motion to see Senator Lipner's amendment.
There's been a motion to see Senator Lipner's amendment. And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, this is amending the cap from 1,500 to 2,000. There was some concern about that difference, and I figured we can all agree that the Blanco Benitez ticket ran a very successful campaign, and they spent less than the 2,000, so that number isn't necessarily limiting anyone's ability to do what they are already doing with campaigns, but also ensuring that people can't spend way too much and kind of go crazy like the Tellez Thirdos ticket did. And so that's my amendment.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we're now Chair Chow.
May I direct a question to, the author. Do we want to change the whereas clauses of 5 presidential tickets only to surpass 1,500 in campaign expenses to kind of reflect that amendment as well?
I thought about it, but I ended up just leaving it because I figured it's still a valid statement.
Alrighty, any other any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any other pieces of debate? ELA Reed.
So I do agree with this number. I mean, I don't really think it's that crazy to lower the spending cap. Considering a lot of you know I'm very good friends with Garrett Casco, and so I know money was kind of something that they were like 2,500, that's kind of a lot. And so, but they both kind of have agreed in the past that you don't need a ton of money to run an effective campaign, especially because, it's all about engaging with voters in terms of, social media, getting out there, things like that. So because of kind of the evidence, and granted, I do understand that this is just from one election, but given, the evidence that we do have, I don't think it's outrageous to, want to lower this number. And I think this is kind of a good compromise from what we were discussing. I don't think it's necessarily in terms of low income, but or students can't raise that type of money because it's clear that you can. But I think more in terms of the fact that is there really a huge need to raise this much money, considering that, if you look at some other campaigns in the past, maybe they weren't utilizing the max amount of money, but they still had effective campaigns.
Senator Matthews?
I will also agree. I like this number. I think it's better, especially because it matches what the Blanco Benitez campaign ran, and as everyone said, it was very effective. So I think this is good.
Sergeant Bonaventure?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures on the amendment. Okay, with a vote count of 34 to 7 to 0, the amendment passes on the bill. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Rose, Chow, and then Bonaventure. Rodriguez. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I was confused. I was just going to motion to vote.
There's been a motion to vote.
Second.
In a second, any objections? Do you withdraw? Okay, we're
Can
still in debate.
motion to see my amendment as motion to see my amendment as technical.
Where is your amendment at?
It's just, yeah.
Okay, yes, it'll be seen as a technical. Bonaventure.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures on the bill as a whole. Okay, with a vote count of 37 to 4 to 1, Internal Bill 5729 passes second reading. Is there a motion to untable Internal Bill 5721? Okay. Internal Bill 5721 updates to Title 12 requiring fully public meetings across SG. Vice Chair Wanjin, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. This bill is just intended to clarify that student government entities are not allowed to utilize executive sessions or other methods of entering a private meeting unless it is required by law. This is simply codifying AG Opinion 5702, which explicitly stated that our current statutes would mean that the Judicial Council and Election Commission should be holding open meetings unless they are protecting records as required by FERPA or other law in the AG's interpretation. It is clear that some areas of SG do not agree with that interpretation, as the Judicial Council has continued to hold their deliberations in executive session, even with things like fiscal appeals, which are largely the same conversations as ORS has when determining the sanction being appealed in the first place, which, as you all know, are public. Additionally, the Supervisor of Elections' opposition to this bill demonstrates that EC is intending to also hold private meeting sessions. Transparency is a necessity for our student government functions, and this should be applied to every area of SG, not just the Student Body Senate. As some may remember, at the beginning of this session, ENA chose to enter executive sessions for their first round of executive branch confirmations, but quickly changed back to fully open meetings for the second round after opposition throughout SG, both within Senate and the executive branch. While I understand the concerns voiced by Supervisor Presley, serious safety concerns should be handled by UCFPD, not dodged by preventing the student body from being able to see the discussions held within the Election Commission during violation hearings. As mentioned in her memorandum, students threatening the safety of election commissioners should and would be reported to student conduct in violation of the Golden Rule, and that's exactly how these sorts of issues should be handled. As student government agents, it's an expectation that we speak our voices whether or not it will expose us to public scrutiny. We should not make the choice to deprive the student body and general public of transparency and access to our SG proceedings, especially those as important as violation hearings, which do usually pertain to the election of the student body president, who sits on the UCF Board of Trustees and generally represents our entire student body. With that, I yield my time to questioning.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions about this bill? Chair Varela?
How would you respond to the point that in real governments, whether it be a judicial council or just a normal appellate board or even a board of a company or any sort of board that makes decisions about like discipline or something about someone, those deliberations are usually going to happen behind closed doors. I haven't heard of many that happen out in the open. Why should ours have a different practice than those?
So specifically, a lot of the disciplinary procedures, if we're going to talk about those, happen through the Senate, which are already public. And then I unfortunately am not as informed on Florida's specific judicial proceedings and that sort of thing as I wanted to be when talking about this, but Florida has a much broader sunshine law and a public records law than like the federal government, where the Supreme Court, I know, doesn't allow anyone to hear basically anything until they write an opinion. So I think generally keeping transparency is important for us within student government to maintain the trust that we have with students and make sure that we don't have people who are like, how in the world did you come to this decision? We have that transparency, allow media and that sort of thing to access and be able to properly report on what's happening within violation hearings or within judicial council meetings, as long as they're not required to be private for some other reason. And I think transparency isn't something we should choose not to do just because other areas choose to be opaque.
All right, Senator Rickett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the author, if this bill were to pass, is there any evidence, do you have any proof, maybe any signals, warnings, anything that there is an adverse threat or any potential risk to any of the people that are on those committees or on those councils?
As far as I am personally aware, no. The supervisor of elections has her memorandum where she states the risks that she believes exist. My biggest statement with that is just if there are risks in that sort of way, we have other areas that are supposed to manage those, like UCFPD. It's not our job as student government to hide what we're doing in order to protect safety and sacrifice transparency.
Chair Chow and then Senator Lipner.
Do you think that by passing this bill, I do know, like, once again, when it comes to election commissioners, they are required to be impartial and unbiased in terms of their decision-making skills. But if we do make this open to the public, do you think that would increase the possibility of the election commissioners making decisions swayed because of that?
I think if election commissioners are going to be swayed by outside influence, they're going to be swayed whether or not the party is present within the room. If people are going to be swayed by people within the room, we shouldn't have confirmed them as election commissioners in the first place, I will note. But in the supervisor's statement, she talks about a commissioner who was being texted texted constantly by a candidate about, you better not disqualify me. Why are you taking so long? What are you guys talking about? Clearly being harassed, and that party wasn't even in the room. So I don't think closing our meetings is going to protect anyone from outside influence. And we sit here and make decisions with a peanut gallery often. Currently, there's nobody here, but regularly there are a ton of people there. And our fiscal committees especially sit and deny people for funding as they're sitting in front of us. So I don't think it should be a problem to make an unbiased decision just because the person's sitting in front of you.
Senator Lipner.
Would you be open to expanding the unless required by law section of your addition to specifically explain what laws you're referring to?
Is there a reason it would need to be specific? I left it intentionally very broad so that if a law exists, it's not being accidentally excluded by just saying FERPA or other specific laws. If something is required to be closed by law, I don't want statutes to technically make that not allowed.
Yes, Chair Barilla.
Yeah, so I understand your point about like senators being open, all deliberations being open, but considering that justices and commissioners are non-elected positions and thus aren't really accountable to the student body, does that kind of change the equation at all about like what the students how protected those deliberations are, considering that they're not supposed to be like philosophically branches that are like politically accountable?
I think just because those positions weren't elected doesn't mean they shouldn't be accountable to students. I think transparency is a necessity throughout all areas. I think especially I've seen articles from past years where NSM Today was what it was called back then, would attempt to attend meetings, or Night News, I think was what it was, because it was 2018 or 19, would try to attend violation hearings and be told, absolutely not, you can't attend. And then I saw that there was a statement from SG that, oops, actually that shouldn't have been what was done. I unfortunately do not have that particular article pulled up right now. Otherwise, I would reference it specifically because I was reading it last week. But I think transparency is a necessity throughout all of student government. And just because somebody hasn't been elected doesn't mean they shouldn't be transparent and open to the student body and what they're doing.
Sergeant Arms Bonaventure.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate.
Second.
And a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio, Senator Smith, Chair Hernandez.
So I'm in full support of this. Transparency is always a good thing. It's never a bad thing, especially considering last year, I remember the Election Commission made some very questionable decisions, but there was no way to hold them accountable because everything was closed door, such as, for instance, one of the candidates during a violation hearing said that the supervisor told them that something was okay. However, during the violation hearing, they were found to be in violation of the thing that they were told was okay. So knowing more about those sorts of scenarios would be good. And again, in addition, again, with regards to safety, that's what UCF-PD is for. They're here for us, ideally. And if there's a reasonable belief for an elevated risk of safety, then they should be present. There's no downside to that. So just from accountability and a transparency perspective, I fully agree with this. And for a little additional context, a lot of talk with the Election Commission, the Judicial Council can basically, under the judicial rules of procedure, by a majority vote, can basically go into executive session whenever they want at any point in a hearing, which does not seem right to me. So that is why I will be voting in favor.
Okay, Senator Lipner, I believe I called on you next.
It was Chair Hernandez.
Oh, Smith.
Okay, I'm going to try and make this quick, but I just want to say that and I'm not speaking on behalf of my fiscal committee, but I am saying as someone who sits on the fiscal committee, it is very different to sit in front of someone and deny them funding. It is hard. And I know it's our job and I do it, but it's hard. So I think that the sentiment of it being open is like, I like that sentiment. I think that is important. I think functionally it would, even to a great election commissioner, it would in some way sway them. That is what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Chair Hernandez.
Okay, hi. We actually debated on this for a very long time. We extended debate time. So like around 15 minutes before debate time, no chair, which never happens. But a lot of back and forth we were having is like there's some actual concerns. Well, I understand that. A great point that was brought up is that as SG agents, you do give up part of your privacy to be an SG agent. Like we're here every Thursday, you have to speak out your mind. You're elected in this position for a reason. We allot ANSF funds, and a big reason also why I got rerun and why I chose to become appointed Senate is because there was a lack of transparency of what goes on within Senate. Because until this year, any minutes regarding any committees or judicial council, even this year or anything, were literally non-existent or broken links. And so for me, it's how can you get someone involved in the government or know what's going on if there's no transparency? And anyone should be able to see a meeting and be like, hey, I want to attend this, what's going on. And they should be able to do that because we are using their funds, we allocate their funds, and it should always be open.
Bonaventure.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 33 to 6 to 2, Internal Bill 5721 passes second reading. Senate Forum, Lipner.
Alrighty, so this is another fun thing for you all. If you guys do not know, NASA's Artemis mission is getting ready to send off in 2026, and this link allows you to add your name to a flash drive, which is going to be sent around the moon. So it's a cool way to kind of have you be a part of history. So please, if you are interested, click the link, fill it out, and you'll get a little certificate that proves that you are a part of this mission.
I am now a part of this mission. Anybody else? I see Connolly.
I just wanted to remind you guys that I'm having an event on this coming Wednesday called Coffee and Common Ground. It is going to be a collaboration with the League of Women Voters here at UCF, and it's going to be a moderated conversation with coffee to promote civic discourse on campus. So especially if you're a part of any civic or politically affiliated RSO, but anybody is encouraged to come. It's going to be at 11:30 in the morning, and there's going to be free food. So please come. Student Union, room 223.
Okay, and then McNulty.
Kind of go off of what Senator Lipner said about the Artemis launch. So yeah, you can. I put my name as soon as that thing came out on LinkedIn. I'll say that. I know a bunch of you all are also going to do the same. With me working at KSC, I will say I have 5 seats in my truck that I am allowed to bring people to the Artemis 2 launch right there in front. This is between you and me. It is going to be February 6th. So if they say March or April, they're lying. It's February 6th, the launch. Put that in your calendar. It could be moved depending on whatever hurricane, it's not hurricane season, whatever delays it. But I'm going to remind y'all that whenever we get back from winter break, just something to put on the calendar. If y'all are interested, let me know.
All right. Anybody else for forum? Seeing none. Senate deliberation, non-advisors report. Shane, you have anything?
Good evening, everyone. Just want to give you an update that the assistant director, so the person who will serve as your advisor, that position closed on Monday. We have since already reviewed all of the applications and coordinated already screening interviews, so 15-minute interviews with what we identified as the top 7 to 8 candidates that were in the pool. Thank you to Kirsten and Jason for helping to be a part of those screening interviews. Our goal, and we're just waiting for HR's approval, will be hopefully to bring 3 candidates onto campus to do in-person interviews. There'll be about a half-day interview. Once we schedule those, we will most certainly send an email out to leadership to encourage some input from students, and we'll create a time that is solely for student leaders to be a part of that, to give me feedback in that decision-making process. So we are moving forward, and hopefully we'll have identified someone maybe before Thanksgiving break or very quickly after Thanksgiving break. So we're moving quickly.
Any question for Shane? Seeing none. And then Senator Connolly, would you mind turning off your mic? Thank you. Troy Hernandez.
Motion to go to Senate, to move to Senate deliberations.
There's been a motion to move back to Senate deliberations.
Second.
And a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are in Senate deliberations. Do you have something to talk about?
The money's running out, and I just got an email from an RSO that I'm assigned to being like, hey, I have a question for fiscal bill. So I was going to say, ask like the Senate how we would like to approach that, because CRT has allocated money for bills and allocations, and we're running low on those bills allocations. So just some thoughts.
All right, you guys have 20 minutes to talk about this topic. Does anybody wish to add? Lipner?
I can't speak for anyone else, but at least personally, I am happy with how CRT has set aside money for individual allocations, because I think it's important that students who are doing their own research are supported in the same way that RSOs still support those same individual students. My logic, at least, is that individuals who would otherwise apply as an RSO could apply as individuals for an allocation and still receive funding. And so for that reason, I am more than supportive of that allocation amount being set aside. To kind of answer your question on a more broad level, though, I would personally be much more in favor of supporting allocations and bills which support research-focused events, whether that be academic conferences or observational research to gather research or gather data or interviews or things like that. I think that that would be where I would personally rather spend the money as opposed to more experiential trips where students can gain either knowledge or experiences from that trip.
Does anybody else? Senator Rickett?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a representative of the College of Graduate Studies, I will say that many of my constituents and even members of the Dean's office and many of the faculty and staff, they are heavily advocating for our Senate to actually focus or maybe kind of shift our ideas about funding, especially when it comes to research, as Senator Lipner has stated. There's a lot of concern that we are not allocating enough and not thinking about the research students that have to go in the fall or the spring semester. Many of the conferences and many of the events and many of the research kind of conferences that happen, a lot of those are announced between November and December and January for the latter part of the spring semester. So I did wanted to bring it up, and I have shown them the numbers, and they would like going forward that you keep in mind that many students, especially that are presenting research all over the country and even the world, a lot of the times they're not going to know that there even is an opportunity to present their research until the latter part of the year. So I just wanted to bring that up, that we should be focusing on thinking about all students across the board, even our graduate students. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Smith, and then Vice Chair Wajin.
Sorry. I would say I'm happy with what CRT has done in committee. I'm happy with the legislation we've passed. I think we are addressing this issue. It is something we talk about recently. We talk about it every meeting. It is something that we are very aware is happening, at least from just a committee member's point of view. I'm happy with what CRT is doing, but I am happy we're having a discussion as well.
Vice Chair Wajin?
I do think to some degree it's important to keep in mind that this funding it's a privilege, not a right, for students to get, and it's not necessarily like this funding has not been set aside to be, this is funding for us to send people to research conferences. It has a broad variety of uses for a reason. It's supposed to support a variety of pursuits, whether that's seminar and networking for people to try and find a job, whether it is that research stuff, whether it's for something else that falls within our spending policy. But we're very lucky that we as a university get to provide this sort of funding to students. And I do think to some degree, like the expectation from across the university that this is where funding comes from for their students, especially when it comes to research, is frustrating to me personally, because it's not our job to subsidize our students to go and present research. It is amazing that we get to do it, but that is not the sole intention of this money. And I think that's important for all of us to keep in mind, especially if we sit here and are like, oh, academic stuff, that's the most important. The funding comes from the activity and service fee. It's not from the general tuition costs that are paid that go to the specific colleges. So it's money that if we didn't have there, we would be putting to like homecoming or CAB or something like that, most likely not towards research purposes. So yeah.
Chair Barola and then Chair Rose.
Yeah, to kind of echo what Wajin said with I think a sort of different spin, it's kind of my perspective that we should always be allocating funds that students are eligible for. Like I think it is okay to set aside we need this much for allocations, this much for bills, because you're trying to make sure that that sort of equality spread. But I am generally against saying we must save this amount of money for research or this amount of money for seminars, this amount of money for like whatever. I think that, at the end of the day, it is a kind of first come, first serve basis. And I think that if you apply and you're eligible and there's money, you should be able to get that money. I I've always said this, but as senators, more like stewards of the ASNF fund, not arbiters. I think where our job is to make sure that it goes out in a proper way to people who are eligible for it, and not to determine exactly who is most deserving of money. So generally, well, I understand sentiments like it's good to say decide what is good and what is the best to spend money on. I just don't think that's our role. I think that's kind of stepping outside what we'll even have qualification to do. So I'm just more in favor of spending money to those who come who want it and are eligible.
Rose.
In terms of CRT, I feel like the committee's already taken kind of as much action as they can to try to stop the bleeding. I don't think there's anything we can really do other than what we've already done for CRT. For FAO, I think it would be good to probably implement something like the CRT committee did for splitting the remaining funds into bills and allocations. Because I think it would be a shame if the $50K we have left is just taken up by 2 RSOs for 2 giant fiscal bills, and no other RSO can get any other funding for the rest of the year. So I think that would be good to look into for FAO.
All right. Are there any other additions? Chair Sherman.
On the note of stopping the bleeding, I'll kind of get back to the original question. One thing that I don't think we should ever do to stop the bleeding is withhold information. So as far as the RSO in question, thanks for sending me their stuff. I'll tell them exactly how to go through it and how to apply, and I'll probably end up meeting with them in person, as I do fairly regularly. But I think it is important that at the very least they're equipped to apply, and then we can sort of decide exactly how we want to use the money when they come in front of us for a committee.
All right, Senator Lipner.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to piggyback a little bit on Chair Varela's conversation that he had about us being arbiters versus us being stewards of funds, and remind us that as a Senate body, we can say no for any reason that we as senators deem necessary. It is within our responsibility to do so. In fact, we should be exhibiting our own best interest, or not best interest, but due diligence to ensure that the money is being spent in a way that is effective and student serving. And if we believe that that is not what is happening, then we should be voting no.
Okay, Pro Tem Hamid.
Motion to move to miscellaneous business.
There's been a motion to move to miscellaneous business. And a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Resignations. I hereby resign Kushi Chauhan from Senate and Nathan Rickett from GAP. And I hereby appoint Nathan Rickett to LJR. Senator shout-outs. We didn't do it last time, so we'll do it this time. Senator Matthews.
I want to shout out the 2 SGLC people in the back. Thank you guys for staying. I personally would have not done that when I was in SLC.
TO to rescue.
Shout out Speaker Courts. You got my last name right, guys. Hey, okay. Who was I gonna shout out? Shout out Olivia. She's been speaking a lot. I'm like, okay. And then of course, shout out Hospitality. I've been more hospitable just in my personal life, just because of her aura. I can feel it, you know. Who else? Shout out Ni Chao. She made some really good pasta. It was really bomb. Shout out Grace for taking my Culver's coupon. She actually gave it back. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Senator Simmons, Senator McNulty, and then Chair Chow.
I want to shout out Chair Todorescu. On Wednesday, she came to a tap class with me, and it was so fun. And I think it was really brave of her. She'd never really done any kind of dance before, and she did a really great job.
Senator McNulty.
I want to say shout out to Senator Capinos for being a brick wall of a goalkeeper during our soccer game. Our goalkeeper was out on vacation, and he stepped in and helped us achieve the 14-3 win. And also to the ladies that came. Some of y'all came on short notice. It was cold, but y'all showed out. Much respect for y'all. And ladies, please come to the games. It is fun. We're going to win. I'm going to repeat that again. We're going to win. So please show out. And fans, please, it's so much fun. Come out. It's getting warmer. It's not going to be as cold as last time.
Chair Chow.
Wow. Shout out to Speaker Courts. I've never looked at legislation so much and wrote so much legislation and asked so many questions about legislation. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Another shout out, Chair Todorescu. Always my goat, forever my goat. Also, another shout out to Senator Matthews. Emotional support. I love it. I love it. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Senator Green.
Okay, so 3 actually. Shout out to ORS. I love that committee. Shout out to Senator Connolly because I believe her birthday was last week.
Oh.
And then for the last one, I don't want to be that guy, but shout out to me. I took my medication competency exam last week and I got a 96 on it.
Senator Casimiro, Chair Lush, ELA Reed.
Shout out everyone. This is our second to last meeting of the fall. I'm excited for us for next spring, and I think we did a good job. Also, ORS, Chair Rhodes talked a lot today, and I am very proud of you.
Chair Lush.
I'll kind of piggyback off of Darian, but the whole soccer team did great. But he failed to mention that he did score like 8 of those goals or 9 of those goals. So 10 of those goals, as you just scratched me. We'll make sure to get that right next time. But yeah, great job. And then Owen for again tweaking his knee on, but at least he scored this time. So it's good.
ELA Reed.
Shout out ILA Rudy. I have a message for you. Hold on.
Jag kommer sakna dig.
That means I will miss you in Swedish, because I'll miss you bad in the spring, Diva. Thank you for all your work.
Yeah. Round of applause for ILA Reed. You ready to give me pictures? Senator Zibin.
Yeah, also shout out Grace. I'm gonna miss you so much. The apartment will not be the same without you. I know we're all gonna miss you. Also shout out Grampy.
Any other shout outs? Oh, Deeser Capinos and then ILA Rudy.
Shout out McNulty. He took everything I was going to say. And shout out everyone on the team. You guys absolutely crushed it. I could not ask for a better team. And this is the first time that the whole team left together because we won. It was an amazing. I felt victorious after the game. So that was great to feel. But yeah, please come out to the games. We're going to win. And it's going to be a great time. Shout out for everyone that's come to the events this year. It means a lot to me. A lot of work goes into planning them. If you haven't been able to go to an event, please at least join the Minecraft server. It's a lot of fun. And I want to shout out Pro Temp Hamid. You've always had my support and my back, and I appreciate you for it. So thanks.
ILA Rudy.
Okay, shout out ELA Reed and Speaker Courts because like taking on my responsibilities when I'm gone, and they've been so great and understanding with the transition. So really appreciate them. Shout out Senator Simmons for always driving me home after Senate because I really appreciate that. Shout out roommate Senator Zivin, obviously. Shout out Chair Todorescu for, did I actually not get your name right? Oh, okay, cool. Shout out for getting that coupon back. I'm so glad you found it. And shout out to everyone who's been so great this semester. And obviously, shout out SGLC.
Okay. Well, oh, yeah. Chair Gaudio.
I love my entire committee. You guys are great. Some great debates from Matthews, Bonaventure, Zivin, and the vice chair when we saw Wanjan's bill. Thank you, Wanjan, for showing up to LJR. Thank you to the supervisor for showing up to LJR. You guys should show up to LJR. It's great. I love everyone in it.
Anybody else? Okay. ILA Rudy and then Senator Escobar.
I'm so sorry, but I noticed, JC, your haircut. Cutesy. Yes. Wanted to say.
Shout out the Chip Senators. Our dean's low-key the best. Follow UCF Chips on Instagram. You'll see him say 6'7", and one of his reels is pretty cool.
Okay.
I want to shout out Victoria and Olivia for the sexual wellness bingo. That went really well. And then I also want to shout out Owen and Sam. They had a really good technique during physical tabling of challenging people to chess and then tricking them to listen to them about physical stuff. So that worked really well for them. I think they were 8-0. And then shout out to anyone who has been to auxiliary campus outreach this semester. So great seeing everyone there. And I encourage you to sign up for the downtown tabling and any other tabling we do next semester.
Senator Jones.
Special shout out to Pro Tem Hamid for all his help with sexual health bingo. It would not have gone good without you, so I really appreciate it. And everybody who came out, thank you.
Such a star. Okay, my turn. So first, shout out all of you guys. I don't think you really like. You have to take into account like this week there was a dean that came, and then CRT did actually caucus for only 5 minutes this time. So we would still get out at like 10 o'clock. We're doing so great on time. And then last week we still did great on time. We even recessed and we got out like 10:30. Guys, this is the good place for me. Also shout out to me, Chair Rose, and then Chair Teodorescu. You should see our drawing of the United States on the whiteboard. There's 56 states, and that's not counting Hawaii. Wait, it does count Hawaii and Alaska. But there's 6 extra states. Who else? There was someone else. Shout out Shane. Bless you. There was somebody else I was gonna shout out. I think I forgot. Shout out these 2 people. It's so great being up here with them, especially Jason keeping time. And then he every single time he taps me on my shoulder to tell me at 4 minutes, I get scared every single time. But shout out Pro Tem Hamid. I don't know what I'd do without you. Shout out ILA Rudy. I love you so much. I love you so much. And then shout out to my ELA. I know that you've been fighting demons this week, but I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of us. I love this Senate. Do you have anything, Jason? Do you have any shout outs? No? Okay. Hamid's happy.
Okay, not too much now. Okay. So today, second ever Hamid's Habitat. Sorry, I missed the last one. I hope you guys enjoyed the picture of my cat, Afton. But today we have Senator Zivin's cats, Logan and Storm. Okay, so a little bit about them. So Logan is 12 and he likes to go outside. And apparently he's evil, but I don't know if I believe that. Storm is 12 and she likes to sleep in Senator Zivin's sister's bed every night. They're also both named after X-Men. Contrary to popular belief, they are not bald. They are Oriental short hairs. Also, Grampy mentioned Logan and Grampy do not get along because apparently Grampy stepped on Logan's tail and Logan's still mad.
Okay. Casimiro?
Motion to adjourn meeting pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn this meeting pending final roll call. In a second, any objections? Hearing none. Chair Gaudio, you have the floor. Everyone be quiet while you're packing up, or just don't pack up at all. You could wait a second. You have the floor.
I was waiting for people to quiet down. Paul.
Present.
Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Hagenbook.
Present.
Casimiro.
Present.
Callis. Ariza. Cabanos.
Present.
Lim.
Present.
Pison.
Present.
Savika. Chow.
Present.
Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith. Ali. D. Malik. Orwela. Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman. Licht.
Present.
Metellus. McNulty.
Present.
Rocasa. Rose.
Present.
Rudy.
Present.
Treo Hernandez.
Present.
El Haq. Fawcett. Rickett.
Present.
I am here. Escobar.
Present.
Macadia.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Longin.
Present.
Hassanein.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Green.
Present.
Wynn.
Present.
Bonaventure. Perez.
Present.
Alcuda. Benesh. Candeloro. Courts.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Leon.
Present.
Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nursa Madevra.
Present.
Renda.
Present.
Connolly.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
Teodorescu.
Present.
Barella.
Present.
Folks, we're not done yet. Zivin.
Present.
Lipner.
Present.
43 out of 59. Now we're done.
Okay, no, we're not. I hereby adjourn. I hereby adjourn this meeting at 10:25 p.m. Get home safe, guys.